Alright, I think we should probably get this started, right?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Justin, do you think it's time to start?
It absolutely is. how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well-ish. Leg is starting to slowly feel better, but that's like a relative term, so, you know, it still basically feels jacked, but better than it has been.
You gonna get to keep it?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to keep the leg. I just don't know how well it's gonna work, which is a little disheartening.
I hear you, man. I've broken both my legs, and I feel your pain, man. Not like right now; it doesn't hurt anymore, but it's a real bitch of a place to get injured.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah, well, it is the second injury that I have sustained to the same leg, just different kind. So the first time was a really severe hamstring tear that still bothers me 7 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I've jacked up my knee, because I'm like favoring it and doing all the things you do when you tear a meniscus, it makes my hamstring hurt even worse. So
Oh man,
the whole thing is jacked and I'm grumpy as a result. But other than that,
good times.
you know.
Yeah, that's why I don't leave the house much. Things like that happen.
That's good. It's a good policy.
Yeah, it happened in my house though, so
Ah, okay. Well, yeah, my bad then.
I should have left.
First
Either
time
way, sorry to hear.
Now I know why there's so many deadbeat dads, because my kids ruined me.
Absolutely. You can just avoid that situation by skipping town.
I know. I gotta go to the store for lottery tickets or something.
As I understand it, Florida is where deadbeat dads end up. Although in my brother's case, he lives in the mountains here in Colorado.
I think mine bailed to New Zealand.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Mine went to Missouri?
Misery.
Yeah.
What's I don't know. My American kind of geography and social kind of knowings aren't that good.
The states that you haven't heard of are the shitty ones.
Yeah.
Fair
And half of the ones that you have heard of are also shitty, and they're just infamous.
Like Texas.
And Florida.
And Florida. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
A good way to tell, actually, is to pull up a map, right, and see who they voted for president.
A good way is to pull up a map and see if they're in the United States.
That's true. That's true.
What, like Hawaii?
Hawaii's cool.
That was a cool one.
It is a cool one.
Yeah, it's got mixed reviews, right? Like, it's cool, but it's really expensive, and you don't feel, like, connected to the country, and...
That's all right. The country, I mean, like, I want to put some distance between me and America right now anyway.
Yeah. I mean, we can say that, though, because you only hurt the ones you love. And Florida.
Right. Absolutely.
Sounds good. And thanks for having me here, by the way. You know, and hey everybody, hey audience.
No, it's an absolute pleasure, man. Like when Charmer and I were shooting the list of people we wanted to come on the show, number one was definitely Pete Hines, but then it was you.
I'll take it. Take it.
Absolutely.
Cool. It's definitely not surreal is the right word, and cool is a bit. It's not very descriptive, but that's what I've got. It's cool to be here. It feels good.
Yeah.
Cool to have.
So if people can't guess from the amazing accent, you know, you want to tell people where you're from and I guess like how you got started in Legends and all of the fun, all of that jazz.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I am from, well, my name is Rei Barker, or Rei Barker. I am from Australia, which is in the Southern Hemisphere.
Hold on, I need to diagram this.
And I started playing Legends. I've been playing Magic the Gathering for like 25 years or something. Yeah, since I was 26. And one day, PV, or Paula Vitor Damo de Rosa, wrote an article on Channel Fireball about Legends. And I downloaded it, and I haven't played Magic since. Kind of just what I was doing was, playing Magic Online every day and going to PTQs and GPs and whatever else, and I'm living the same lifestyle, but with a different game that I really, really love. Yeah, I don't know if I can necessarily say it's like better, but yeah, let's be honest, it's better. Yeah, I love it. It's one of the reasons I get up in the morning, and
Cool.
Yeah,
the community is great.
I think better is hard because it's so different. There's a lot of things that are really similar, and because of those similarities, people will, make obvious comparisons and things like that. But it really is different because so many of the like core mechanics are different. It kind of fundamentally changes, like
Right.
how it plays out, and what's good in one game isn't necessarily good in another. And
Yeah, absolutely. I think aggro is, well, for me, my understanding is at least the biggest difference. I think there's so much more play to it. It's not as much just like, cool. You've got 7 cards, etc., and you need to deal 20 damage. There's so much more play to it, and lanes, and you got to play around prophecies, and sometimes most of the time you need to be equipped to head into the end game as well. But luckily, Alfred's house card got printed, so that's
right. Yeah,
so it's much more fun.
I think,
This is a rare game where aggro decks draw more cards than every other deck.
yeah. I've been thinking about it a lot lately, just because there's been a lot of discussions about like meta, and there's always that polarizing thing that comes up about how like people will say like aggro decks are mindless and things like that. But the truth is, when I played Magic, I used to certainly think that aggro decks were easier to play than Control, and I think that in Magic that is true, because it's not just a fully reactionary playstyle when you play Control. There are some difficult decisions to be made. You have things like counter spells, you have resource management, and you have, let's be honest, when you're playing like physical Magic, there's the mind games that you don't see in a digital card game, right? There's that subtle like hover your hand over the islands. There's that whole mind game of, somebody plays a card and you say hold on, and then you pause for a couple seconds and you say okay, I'll allow it. And even though you might just be bluffing, right? Like there are certain nuances to playing Control and Magic that matter, but they don't carry over as well in a digital card game, and they certainly don't carry over in a game like Legends, where in Legends, at least in my opinion, Control, traditional Control anyway, is just more 100%. They play something, I blow it up. They play something, I blow it up. Did I live long enough? Okay, I win by inevitability. And I think that personally, aggro ends up being much more difficult to play when you start thinking about the nuance, because it's, do I trade in the mirror? When do I abandon the field lane and go shadow? Is it worth it to break a rune for 1 or 2 damage? There's so many other decisions in this game for aggro that just aren't there in Magic, and so I think that a lot of that animosity is from like holdovers of Magic who are like, well, aggro is so mindless and Control is so nuanced, but it's not in this game. So
I agree. I do think that aggro as an archetype is probably the hardest to play in TESL Legends, to be honest with you. And I think it has a lower skill floor, perhaps. I think that may be what, at least from my observations, what maybe might get people's backs up is that you can probably just jam stuff and attack with it, and sometimes you get carried by the strength of the deck.
Yeah.
I gotta challenge this a little bit. I think that the deck that is the hardest to play successfully on the ladder is actually that monk deck that you sent me. The one without a win condition in it. Yeah, that would be the one.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually gonna say that for me, I think that the non-traditional mid-range decks have proved to be the most difficult, at least for me, because you have a lot of the decision making required for an aggro deck, but you also have to decide when you're the beatdown versus when you're on the defensive, and that like extra layer, I find myself like just putting a little bit more thought into, you know, when do I start pushing, when do I have to start the race. You know, I think of like a mid-range deck versus like Prophecy Battle Mage, for example, right? When am I making my value trades versus when is it time to go for the all-in? And so, like, aggro definitely takes decision making, but I think that there's some merit to like some pretty decent decisions in mid-range, whereas, you know, again, like, it's so polar opposite for me in control. I legitimately just, I'm reactive the whole time.
I think that the prophecy system and the rune system in this game makes knowing when the appropriate time is as a mid-range deck to pivot from reactive to proactive, like, super skill testing, right? And even with all the information you have, you can make what is in that setting the right situation and still end up losing because you made that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think I'm not going to say a lot of people do, but myself definitely, something I have found challenging is getting away from that confirmation bias and trying to focus as hard as I can on making that right decision, you know. And even if you're not, say, playing a control deck, but sometimes, well, very often, in fact, you're in the control role in a matchup, or even in a mirror because of how draws happen, or if someone has the ring or doesn't, or
I spent the last couple of days laddering with support mage because I need to get my ass out of rank 9, and I made it. I got it to rank 6 just playing one afternoon, and with that deck, I found that to beat Scout, for instance, this is an example I think of what you're talking about. I'm just going face with my hive defenders and stuff.
Yep.
And then I'm winning with the reach that mage runs.
Yeah. I think it's like pretty much all control decks versus Scout. It's definitely something I've been exploring as well, like different ways to, because you do have to be the aggressor. You don't have a better late game than them. You have to pressure their life total,
right?
So they have to use, you know, Soltaires on bats and whatnot instead of
Parthenax.
Yeah, exactly. Force them to blow their resources on things they don't want to.
An aside, I do feel like, so what I'm finding with that deck is I'm beating everything, right? Pretty consistently, except I've lost 3 times now to Rage Archers where I'm putting them in. I've got them into top deck mode. I've got control of the board. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be easy, and then they play Journey to Sovngarde.
I just won a game with that against Support Crusader.
Yeah, I not tech I saw coming, and leads me to strongly consider trying out the Banished card.
Legitimately a half hour before we went live, before I said I'm going to get coffee, I had just finished a game where I was playing Control Archer, and I was against a Control Crusader who was support heavy, which I thought was cheeky and interesting. And
I've been doing that.
We get down to, he's got 11 cards in his deck, and I have 8 in mine, right? And
that's where we were with
he's
this
like spamming the emotes because, you know, he's got a better board presence, and he like has made me use all 3 of my rages, so he thinks that he's like got it. And then I play Journey, and then I proceed on the next turn to play Baroness into Thieves Guild Recruit into Assassin from Unglum into Creature, right? And then I get what I assume is the only response, which is he just DCs, and I get the victory.
He didn't even just DC, man. He literally destroyed his computer. You just ruined that guy's hobby. You destroyed a paying customer, and you might have actually ruined his life.
Yeah, I just it's fun stuff. But I do.
That's my experience when that card gets played against me, and I'm playing support mage.
Yeah. I do want to roll back real quick to something that Ray said, that I'm also a big believer in, right? And something that comes up often, and that's like confirmation bias, and specifically with the ring. So there was an article that was posted on Between the Lanes about like ramp and unstoppable rage, but then in some of the discussions that followed up afterwards, people got back to talking about the ring, right? And like clockwork, there's a strong camp who firmly believes that the ring is overpowered. And even though, like, I've been tracking my stats for almost a full year now, because I started mid-December of last year, I routinely find that I have, you know, a slightly higher win percentage going first than second that I would not have guessed, you know, before. I definitely would have had that confirmation bias, but then after I started tracking, and I know that other people like Turquoise Link and some of the others have come out and said very similar things, you know, that their stats kind of match the devs. But one of the interesting things, just like in general about confirmation bias, is that I think that it also kind of goes back to that whole like recognizing the playstyle, right? Because one of the things that, you know, like, so how do I want to bridge this gap, right? One of the things that commonly comes up is people say like, okay, well, like, sure, across all matchups, going first might be slightly better, but what about like very specific matchups? Which one I don't think you balance around, but they'll say like, you know, the old traditional standby was like, I wonder what it is with like mid-range sorcerer when you have the ring, and yeah, I'm sure that it benefits. Any deck that's a snowball deck is going to benefit from having board position first.
Sure.
But
aggro mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, but that's like the nature of if you just take away, it doesn't matter if it has one charge or three, it's whoever hits the board first, in my opinion. But anyway, like, the thing that has actually, I've been noticing, right, as I start thinking about confirmation bias, is that whole, like, recognizing the beatdown. So as long as I don't have the ring, as long as I just immediately recognize that, okay, like, I'm on the defense and I need to take value trades, right? And I need, like, I have that mindset. Like, I just say, like, okay, I'm playing control now. Like, my win rate's been significantly better. Instead of just going, like, oh, they have the ring, I lose. Instead, me saying, like, okay, I just play my deck differently now, and I value things different. I might change my mulligans. I might change the way I contest things.
And try and leverage that one advantage that you do have, which is cards that they're going to be give you by attacking.
Right. And so it's just amazing to me how much, like, even just like that mental change, instead of falling to my confirmation bias, like drastically changed my output.
Yeah, likewise, to be honest. And I will say that, like, sometimes, and like with many things that that are commented on or complained about, you know, like sometimes, you know, you can play around rage, or you can do what you just said, you know, and adapt your playstyle to draws and whether you're on the play or draw. And sometimes you lose, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I mean, at least for me, like, I became a lot happier as a game player when I just came to accept it. It's like, all right, I tried my best, and that happened, and there wasn't anything I could do about it.
There was the perfect meme posted on the Reddit today, where Captain Picard is saying it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life.
Yeah. No, 100%.
I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. And it's possible to make a ton of mistakes and still win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
That's when I go through the motions and uninstall, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
another thing I think is important to do, because I mean, I released a video about like tilt and like rage quite a while ago. One of the things that I talked about, and I wasn't doing it at the time, but I do now, is like running my thoughts, my ideas past other people. Like, and Charmer's been great for that for me. Like, he's like a steady hand when I'm getting pissed off about something. I mean, I came around on the ring because I started tracking my stats and I realized he was right. And I came around on rage, unstoppable rage, because he had a persuasive argument for it, and I started playing around it instead of just getting pissed. But it can be really good to be part of a community like the subreddit, or even just being on Twitter and being involved with other people who play the game, and you know, consulting other people about how they feel about it, so you get a more objective look at whatever's bothering you with the game.
For sure. I find that when streaming often, actually. Just be like, why did this happen?
Yeah. You know what's interesting about... Oh, I'm sorry, go
ahead. No, I think I was trailing off there.
No, I mean, that's a legitimate, you know, observation. There's plenty of things that, you know, I've gotten or, you know, learned or, you know, had those epiphanies just because I was streaming, and other people will point stuff out, right? Like, it's very easy to get tunnel vision. It's very easy. You know what's amazing is it's so easy to win a game and make, you know, it's just like you said, you can make all of those, you know, play mistakes and still win, right? And you never remember those games. Right? You only remember the ones where, like, you lose horribly, and those are the ones that, like, impact you. But, you know, between making YouTube content and streaming and doing those things, like, I think that I learn more from my wins now, because I'll go through and I'll be like, man, I totally fucked that up, right? Like it was there are some games that I have won and I'm like legitimately ashamed of myself because I had no business winning it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear
same.
that.
Same. And I thought something I need to stop on stream as well is be like my opponent will play something, interesting, and be like, oh, okay, cool card, when there's no need for that, Like I think it's something negative that I do, where it's like being like judgmental or whatever, or getting pissed because like. So I used to do it with Scout, like, for example. Like, why is this person attacking me? Like, they're the control deck here. They definitely have a better late game. All they need to do is chill out,
Right.
But that's generally still valid as well. And yeah, I think it is a hard thing to do. But for me, yeah, I was much happier once I kind of chilled out about it and be like, oh well, they won. And look at my own mistakes and try and focus on those as opposed to what my opponent did. The things I can control.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just sort of a wonderful life lesson there.
Speaking of my own mistakes,
Yeah.
I'm getting the word from our sponsors
Is this about starting? I was gonna say, is this about starting the podcast? I was like, you asshole.
Yeah, no. I'm getting the word from our sponsors that we're supposed to pay some bills.
We gotta eat, man.
Yeah. So I
feel ya.
I think we got to take like a short break.
Yeah.
Run a quick commercial and then we'll be right back, gang. So hang tight and enjoy these paid promotions, if you will.
Good times. Are you a man over 30? Are you finding yourself unsatisfied with an unsatisfied partner? Is your Daedra feeling weak and inept? Are you living life on a low rock, heading nowhere, as fast as you can possibly get there? This used to be all of us. When you head into battle, thinking that you've got an orcish warhammer ready for combat, only to find yourself suddenly wielding an improvised weapon, having to make do? Well, no more. Don't be this guy. Don't be the man down on himself, because now, for all the men in the world, there's High Rock Summoner, when the only thing that's going to give her lethal is a Bone Colossus. Every year, millions of Tamriel citizens face a reptile dysfunction when their scout deck isn't performing the way they'd like. High Rock Summoner is here because a 7/6 on board is better than a 1/1 in hand. Whether you're taking her to the romantic mountains of High Rothgar, or you're just hanging around a bar in Whiterun, High Rock Summoner is here to support you in every aspect of your life and make you the man you want to be and that she deserves. You should be aware that High Rock Summoner is not approved by the FDA. Possible side effects include jaundice, flame atronach, suicidal thoughts, storm atronach, diarrhea, frost atronach, and death. Dark rebirth may increase these risks. Ask your doctor if High Rock Summoner is right for you. Don't settle for an average summon. Be rock hard with High Rock Summoner.
All right.
Good times, man.
Yeah, good stuff.
We got some really specifically targeted advertisements lately.
Yeah, I think it's
I was about to say.
They really know our audience. I gotta tell you, dude, I am not gonna lie. Like, I was thinking about this on the ride home from work. I was like, I have like 700 dick jokes that I can make using Legends cards as double entendres.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, it was hard for me to just pick one. There are so many.
Yeah.
For real. But I mean, improvised weaponry. Is what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, improvised
Yeah,
weapon.
improvised weapons, okay. You can fetch it with Goblin Skulk. It triggers Swindler's Market. Like,
It's true. It works well with Unstoppable Rage. And frequently,
exactly.
when Warhammer turns into an improvised weapon, you got a little bit of that Unstoppable Rage when she laughs at you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're, you know, a U.S. senator, the good thing about an improvised weapon is it has breakthrough.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, it's so dark.
No, it's good. It's good. We need to get the stuff out of the hands of U.S. senators. Jesus, lately. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We need to give them curse or that new weakness card.
Maybe a jewel on top of the world.
Oh.
Pretty great. That'd be pretty great.
So, I know that this week we kind of wanted to do a look back at Heroes of Skyrim, but I figure we should, like, at least do a quick coverage on the cards that were released this week.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, we should get that
I
out
am
of the way.
down.
I think, looking at the list, based on our last podcast, that the last one we covered was, what, Rift and Lawkeeper? I think Reconstruction Engine. No, I think we covered Reconstruction Engine maybe as well. If not, then we can start there.
I thought Reverberating Strike was the last new card we talked about.
Where are you looking at them?
I was looking at
is there
the
like a visual spoiler?
chronological list on Reddit.
Oh,
I just remember trying really hard not to make fun of Just a Lazy Gamer last week.
oh really?
Yeah, well, because
I've never had that issue.
Yeah, because he's the one who debuted Daring Heist, and that card is trash.
Really?
Yeah.
You think Daring Heist is trash?
I can't think of any connection.
Yeah, I actually do think that it's trash. I think that
I don't know, man. It says draw 2 cards.
It says draw 2 cards, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't do anything else for you, and it's too conditional. Now, I understand that Crusader's Assault is a class card, right? So it's hard to compare the two on power level. But at a minimum, that's +2 damage when you're swinging, right? Like, at a minimum. Whereas this doesn't provide reach. It has a magicka cost, and it requires you to already have a pretty significant board presence. So...
Yeah. I mean, divination. This is not obviously, but like, I don't know, man. I gotta go back to it. Says draw 2 cards.
I mean, it does, but
there's
it's also
two ways I look at it. No, you go.
I was gonna say it's also in an attribute that already has plenty of other things that let you draw cards, right? Like agility already wasn't hurting for card draw to begin with, in my mind. So I don't know why.
True. Body's attached too, usually.
Right. That's true.
Like, there's a lot of setup cost on this. I look at it through like quadrant theory, where it's like, early, late, ahead, behind. It's not good early. I suppose it can be okay late if, again, if you've fulfilled that setup cost. When you're ahead, I guess it does reward you for being ahead, and not so much when you're behind, because you don't really want to be spending magicka to not affect the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
The one deck that I think I want to try it out in is Market Archer. I feel like these are easy conditions to meet, and Market Archer is always greedy for cards.
I was just going to say, to me, I think it only ever belongs in 2 decks, and I think it's very situational. And I think that Market Archer, maybe. I think it will take some testing, though, because 3 is already like a pretty big cost for that deck.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the other one is potentially like Token Monk, and it's a card that, because here's the thing, you're not developing the board realistically. Like if you're playing this, you're saying, okay, instead of a creature, I want to refuel, right? So in terms of timing, it's like you play this the turn before you expect to get ice stormed, right? Like you don't develop board, you just say, okay, what I have is hopefully enough to keep pressuring. I'm gonna instead swing, play this, and try to refuel for, like, before they ice storm, and then like reload. But that's like, so again, like it's so situational and kind of niche that I think it's hard.
Yeah, super narrow, and it's not it's not a control card because you don't want to be attacking your opponent.
Right.
Yeah,
that's definitely true.
So, yeah, and And in Token Monk, for example, like Magicka and having it in your deck is not the only cost because it reduces the efficiency of Resolute Ally as well.
That's true. That's
don't get me
true.
wrong,
I mean, and
I will
Resolute
test the
Ally
hell
is
out
like
of it,
part of the reason you run that deck in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, the card's insane.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, to me, it's just so I don't know. There might be something that we haven't seen that makes it better, but like you don't want to play it early. I mean, it's just like Ray said, you don't want to play it early. At 3 cost, you don't want to play this over Pit Lion, right? You don't want to play this over Resolute Ally on those turns you're trying to be aggressive. So like it's a 3-drop that you don't play on 3 that also requires setup that you only play when you're ahead. So
yeah. But it says draw 2 cards.
Yeah, it does. Like, don't get me wrong, I will test this a lot, probably in those decks you mentioned.
Yes.
I guess another way that I like to analyze new cards would be in a binary way. Like, does it fit into an existing deck, or does it enable a new deck or a new archetype? Which, yeah, I'm not.
I don't think it does.
The former we'll see. The latter.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Although
Yeah,
it does have a cool Argonian on it. I like
It's
that.
worth pointing out, actually, like that. It seems as a whole, the cards we've had revealed so far aren't like build-around cards, right? Like, there are cards that prop up like tier 3 archetypes, right? That's we've only seen 31 cards, but there are cards that I think prop up decks that could use some more gas. But there's nothing like Altar of Despair, or Unstoppable Rage, or that Cauldron Lady from that made the support deck work.
I was gonna say I say so far because to me I think that there are two things that have the potential, but we haven't seen enough to fully know. I think that the combination of treasure map and certain treasure hunters could certainly spawn a deck archetype.
Treasure map is definitely one of them.
And the factotum
Treasure.deck. Yeah,
that we haven't seen a ton of yet, right? Like both of those I think could. We just need to see more.
I agree.
Sure. And yeah, like I'm certainly looking forward to trying them all. Like, new cards is amazing. Like, something that actually I think I am wowed by every day is for a CCG. There's actually a pretty small card pool, but there are so many decks.
Yeah.
And absolutely.
I don't think that the difference between in viability between the best deck and the worst deck is that large.
Definitely.
Good.
We talked about this last week a little bit, how like there's virtually no filler, like there aren't cards that are never going to see play for the most part. There's Gerald Forager and there's stuff that's just like too
strictly worse other cards.
Right. But beyond that, like, you can play almost all these cards in certain situations and have them be really good. Yeah. I think that speaks a little bit to the pedigree of people who are building the game, right? Like, we've all played Magic. We all know some of the big names in Magic. A lot of those guys are designing these cards.
Sure.
They have the benefit
one of the things that drew me to the game, to be honest.
Right, same here. I mean, I
think it's incredibly well designed.
They have the benefit of standing on the shoulders of the giants who designed Magic, and frankly Hearthstone for that matter. They've managed to avoid a lot of the mistakes that game makes.
Yeah, and Magic Online as well.
Yeah, Magic Online is a trash can fire. But you know what? I will say, like, I still get involved in the Phantom drafts on there when they do cube drafts and flashback drafts and stuff. Because like, where else am I going to get to do that? Vintage, absolutely, I love Vintage Cube. The cube drafts are what I do there.
They're really good, and I mean that's the game that's on it. That's the only reason people play it. Like, no one plays it because it's a great UI or wonderfully programmed.
I will say I do own one Magic Online deck, and that is Lantern Control in Modern.
You're an animal.
I know, dude. Sometimes
people complain about Scout or Unstoppable Rage or anything like that. Be so grateful that no prison decks exist in Legends. I think like maybe Support Control is probably the closest that can come to that. Like actually establishing a soft lock where some decks can't do anything to get out of it. Yeah. killing everything that comes down, drawing one of their cards and one of yours.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So-
probably
good
why
thing.
it appeals to me so much.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's great, but it's not unfair. Like, there's a lot of support removal. There's a lot of ways to.
It's also like if that deck were to become too popular, it would be one of the easiest decks in the meta to hate out.
Yeah.
Part of me
Exactly.
wonders if, because again, we know looking back that our good buddy, the original Dragon Priest, got nerfed because Alduin was coming, right? Poor Nakri.
Right.
Part of me
Right.
wonders if the other reason that we went from 6 supports to 4 wasn't the mobile client, like is sometimes claimed, but if that was a secret nerf.
I can see it.
I wasn't around for that. Like, what was the nerf there? Like, this is some of the stuff that I've always wondered
Yeah.
about and
Wait,
would love to
I was
have
gonna
access to this.
It was like February, maybe February
Yeah.
or March.
Yeah, I was gonna
You
say,
used to be
like,
able to have. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, which one was he asking about the nerf? Nakreen or the supports?
Well, the support
Both, I
nerf,
suppose.
they were around the same time. No, actually, Nakreen was way before that, I think.
Yeah.
Nakreen was like right after we entered open beta.
Yeah, I feel like Nakreen was December-ish, like right around Madhouse time. But Nakreen used to cost 10, and it was a 5/5, but his text was different. He said,
Right.
draw a card and then play any card in your hand for 0, which is far different from draw a card and that card's cost becomes 0, because it meant with the ring, at 9 Magicka, you were playing Nakreen into Odiving, which was a really big deal in just the core set.
Yeah.
And that was the what you had to that was the bar you had to beat, because Control Mage last fall was the deck to beat.
Yeah, if people are complaining about the meta right now, then I urge you to go look at September of 2016,
Right.
because there were only 3 decks, and one of them got beat consistently by the other 2, but it was only played because people didn't have collections. So if you were a free-to-play player, you played Token Spellsword, and if you were anybody else, you played Archer or Control Mage, and that was it.
Yeah.
Right.
And the backbones of
any
of
card
both of those,
that's insane.
the backbones of all those cards of those decks have been nerfed like repeatedly. Like
Multiple times.
Divine Fervor cost 4. That was nerfed to 5. Yeah. And
it's still insane.
yeah. Triumphant Jarl was nerfed like 3 times. So was Solrus Marshal.
Solrus Marshal got nerfed.
In fact,
a bunch
like
of
everything in
times.
that deck was. Moonlight Werebat was nerfed.
Kinsman.
That was a 4/3.
House Kinsman was nerfed. Yeah, Kinsman used to be a 3/3. Moonlight Werebat was a
4/3.
4/3. Yeah.
Okay.
Solrus
subtle
Marshal.
stuff.
Here's the fun one. Solrus
Burn
Marshal
and Pillage was nerfed.
used to cost 5, and if you had the health lead, you could play a creature for 6 or less for free from your hand. So, like, if you had the ring and the health lead, which was pretty easy to do back when everyone played Kinsman because they were 3/3s. If you had the ring and the health lead on turn 4, you could play like Solrus Marshal into Jarl, and then draw 2 cards to refill your hand.
Yes,
And they were
that
all
happened a lot.
4/4s, so you couldn't Ice Storm to clear them.
So, yeah, that kind of snowballing is
It was dumb.
And
And
then
Burn and Pillage.
in this game system. Yeah.
Yeah, Burn and Pillage used to cost 6, but it hit everything on your opponent's side, not just a lane.
Right.
That's madness.
And in Control Mage, Nakreen was nerfed to Oblivion. That card's not playable anymore.
Manticore used to hit any
Manticore.
lane.
Yeah, Manticore could hit any lane.
Harpies were 2/2s.
Yep, Harpy was a 2/2.
Elusive Schemer was a 4/1.
Yep.
Brilliant Experiment used to cost 2, so you could play Manticore and then experiment it to make an immediate copy before your opponent could respond.
And that's not even including the nerfs to both of those decks, Archer and Mage, that came at the end of closed beta.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, closed beta, Firebolt used to go face.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
In fact, in closed beta once, I got lethal playing an Action Mage deck because Crystal Tower Crafter was a 2/2. My opponent was at 3. I had Firebolt in hand. I Firebolted myself, broke my own rune, triggered Prophecy, hit Lightning Bolt, killed my opponent.
Wow. I think those are good changes. They sound like pretty
good
well
changes.
thought out, and like, you know, slight taking health down or power down, you know, just one that's subtle, but
Pillaging Tribune
Much more
used to say when he entered play, all other creatures in that lane got drained. So
That's
for
true.
Control Mage, they used to be able to gain back like 15 life at a time.
Yeah.
Madness.
Oh, that
This should be
all
recorded somewhere. Like this, the kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
a narrative.
So
The lane
so
change
again,
cats were nerfed too out of Archer. The two Khajiit that changed lanes didn't used to have to be played in the lane of the creature you were moving, so you could just move everything to the shadow lane.
Yeah.
Which ones?
yeah, the Dune Smuggler and the 3/1 with Prophecy.
Ah,
So
right,
the way
yeah.
that they used to work was like, I'll play Mournhold Trader in field lane, right? You respond
Yeah.
with like Fighters Guild Recruit. I'll play Dune Smuggler in the shadow lane and pull the trader to him. So now I've
Right.
completely abandoned, but now I have like a much bigger presence there and my trader is buffed, right? Like you could just abandon a lane and move
Right.
everything.
So now it pushes instead of pulls.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ah.
exactly. And I think the
Cool.
last card that was nerfed out of those decks was Snake-Tooth Necklace used to permanently give a creature drain instead of just that turn.
Yeah. That was also
It's a good change. And everyone stopped, and no one complains about Snake-Tooth Necklace anymore.
That's true. That's true. Although
Yeah.
there were a lot of complaints about the nerf to that card when it happened.
Yeah, there was a lot of complaints about it, saying that they had killed it and so on and so forth. It was kind of funny, but yeah, like
And they were right.
if you really like, for the people who are like, I hate this meta and blah blah blah, like I don't think that they just legitimately know. They can't be players who played in September of 2016. Like that's all I can say, because that was horrendous. And I loved it back then.
Tazcat also cost 8. instead
Yeah,
of 9.
Tazcat used to cost 8.
Yeah.
Well, they all sound pretty reasonable. Like the one that I hear from, I suppose, more moderate or tempered reactions would be that Supreme Atromancer, that was
Yeah.
unnecessary. At least at the time that it occurred.
Well, yeah, I mean, see, what's so funny about it is, like, everything was so broken back in September of 2016, and really all the way kind of up through December, that old Supreme Atromancer never even saw play, right?
Yeah,
like, try to imagine a world where the 9-cost Atromancer that used to be, like, the ubiquitous finisher didn't even see play because it wasn't good enough.
Right.
What did? Like, what kind of decks are we talking about? Like,
It was Archer and Control Mage. Archer killed you before you got to play Atro, and Control Mage could gain so much life and had so many clears that the Atromancer didn't matter. Because, again, Pillaging Tribune let you gain back, like, health in 15 chunks, so, like, a little bit didn't matter. And then because Manticora used to be able to drop in one lane and then shoot into the other, like, you could hit the 3/3 body, drop your Manticora in front of one of the 5/3s, like, in the other lane, and then trade with whatever was in the field lane. And, like, it was just madness. It was so insane how good old Control Mage used to be at just being oppressive all of the time.
The two, like, tier 2 decks that a lot of people played were Action Assassin and Action Mage.
Okay.
And that was just because they wanted something different.
Right. And that's
It
and
feels
because they could steal games. I mean, like, they had so much reach.
Oh, yeah, Health Potion used to be one Magicka, too.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's. Was it better than it is now?
It was.
Healing
played.
potion?
It was played.
Yeah,
Okay.
Health Potion got played a bunch back then because at one Magicka, it was pretty inconsequential to just hold it till you got down to like 12 life, so you've drawn like 3 cards from runes. And then you could drop like Shimmering Peddler, which used to be one of your draw engines back then. And then it was easy to like Peddler, Firebolt something, and, gain some of your health back. And then, oh, hey, I've like drawn cards and jumped up a bunch, right? Like it
was played in Action Mage, which was like ostensibly an aggro deck. It was like a burn deck, and it was just played in there because it was a 1-cost card that didn't require a target that you could use with Lilandro Hexmage.
Well, because there's like flashback, like they had drafts as well, but they also have like constructed events where, they have like 8 decks from a standard format, past or whatever. I'm not sure if it's the kind of thing that will ever happen, but I would play that for sure. Where it's like, playing a meta from, a year ago or whatever with different versions of cards, just to.
I like that.
I mean, A, for fun, and B, to get perspective on how things were.
I agree.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
It would be a fun, like, Weekend Gauntlet, like play the original release. Here's
Right.
everybody has access to the full card pool, so you don't have to like have it in your collection, right? Just like here, go wild, build something.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder if anything, if things would be the same.
I think they would
Well-
even be worse because you'd have more experienced people to like fine tune it even worse than what
Right.
it was. Because the only thing that held things back then was that people had some pretty limited collections, you know. So like
Yeah.
there wasn't thorough testing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people things were so bad that people were looking at what I was doing to see what they should be playing.
Oh,
Like they
Jesus.
had, it took months for people to figure out that I was intentionally playing like the worst cards I could win with.
Yeah.
All right, I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that. That's good. I wish that I like it when people who, what's the way to just say it? People who get influential content creators, you know, play bad stuff and people copy bad stuff as well. I think that's rad.
It's interesting.
Or fun stuff,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
We'll call it fun stuff. 'Cause,
Go ahead.
yeah, you go.
Well, there was okay. So back then, Legends was paying popular Hearthstone streamers to play the game, and stream it. You know.
Yeah.
And one day they paid Kalento to play, and so he's going through the collection. He puts together Action Assassin, and I happened to hop onto the ladder with Ramp Sorcerer, just this awful deck, right? With like Firebolts at the 1-drop, Shrieking Harpies at the 2-drop, and then a whole bunch of expensive cards. And we played against each other this like 25-minute long game, right? And afterwards, I think not like 1 out of 5 games was Ramp Sorcerer for a few days for me. Like this
awesome.
just completely horrible deck.
with great power, etc., etc.
Right.
So, do you think this format is like solved? You know, air quotes. Like, do you think something I've been trying to do is, when streaming particularly, is kind of explore cards that I don't think have seen as much shine as I think they have. I mean, that's mainly just playing Heroic Rebirth in support decks, but other stuff as well. Like, do you think there's anything that you thought was going to be good and hasn't, or the opposite?
Well, that is the perfect segue into what we wanted to actually talk about tonight.
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
I mean,
Well played.
to answer the first question,
Thank you.
I don't think any format is ever fully solved.
Yeah.
I agree with
Like
that.
I just don't believe in that, because if it gets solved and then everybody starts playing one thing, then there's going to be something that beats that one thing. Like the best example I can give is like back when I played Magic competitively, right when Mirrodin Block hit and everybody was playing Affinity. I was going to a regionals tournament and I was like, I expect 50% of the field to be Affinity, so I built a version of 12 Post Tooth and Nail at the time that was like, with its sideboard, just like almost couldn't lose to Affinity, and I ended up going
Fracturing Gust or like something like.
No, it
an
was
artifact
literally
sweeper?
it was like Oxidizes and Viridian Shaman, and like, no joke, I can't tell you how many games I won just to play Tooth and Nail to find 2 Viridian Shaman. Like that's it was just, that was what the deck was built to beat. And I remember I went 5-0 against Affinity, and then like I lost a couple of games to like White Weenie or just things that you weren't expecting to see, you know?
Yeah.
But like I remember thinking, you know, Affinity's the boogeyman and everyone thinks that it's a problem, and yet here I found a way to reliably beat it, and that carried over. I think it was like during Onslaught Block when Goblins was like the boogeyman. I remember I also built like this mono black control monstrosity because my buddy Zach only played Goblins, and it was the same thing. Like I could smash that and then go like 50-50 with other decks, and that was just good enough, right? And so I don't think that any format is ever fully solved. Because things should be like ebb and flow, right? It's a reactionary thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and there's even, I mean, kind of new decks popping up to an extent. Like, obviously the monthly cards have, you know, they invigorated certain archetypes, and I think that we'll definitely see a lot of that with the new set coming in, but that is something that I'm particularly interested in. Like, what's a good example of that? I mean, maybe I think Heroic Rebirth. Like, I won't talk about it too much. Don't worry. But
No, you're fine.
And that's not even a Heroes of Skyrim card. But I genuinely think that in a support deck, like having access to an unlimited supply of legends is actually pretty damn good. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, I actually
I
think,
can totally see it.
yeah, I was gonna say I actually think that like the card has the potential. Like if you're going with the Crusader version instead of the support mage version, and you're running like raiding party to feed stuff into your hand and whatever, I think it's entirely viable and legit. The only reason I'll never play it is I'm staunchly against Heroic Rebirth as a card. I ranted against it when it was printed, and I still don't like it now. So.
Are you sure you're
because
not
of
upset that
the random aspect of it?
Yeah, it's because it's like I start to get upset when there's anything that is like even on the cusp of competitively viable that has too many permutations to plan for. Like I'm okay with variance and randomness in a controlled sense, like, you know, Blood Magic Lords, you know exactly, you know, off the top of your head what their options are, what the percentages are, right? Like that I can live
There's only
with.
4.
But when you talk about a card like Heroic Rebirth, you know, where you're talking, you know, 30, 40 potential outcomes that's only going to get more and more as more cards get printed, then like it starts to get frustrating when you're trying to play around it because there is no way to make like the good decision, right? Like to me, it takes like the skillful decision making out of it.
Sure.
And like it's the same reason like you want to tilt me, right? If you're trying to stream snipe me and you're trying to tilt me right off the ladder,
Wouldn't dream of it.
play a deck with Balmora Spymaster. Like there's not a card.
Not a fan?
No, there's not a card that tilts me harder than Balmora Spymaster. Even if everything goes my way, that thing can spawn mud crabs and 0-3 guards all day long. Still fucking hate it. I hate Balmora Spymaster and everything it stands for.
Yeah, I think my most common thing from that probably tied between Nordfirebrand and Merak. I think, and I'm okay with that. But like, I mean, I play it in gimmicky decks, but like, there's something like so Halfinger Marauder or Merrick, for example. You know, I think that there's a ton of variance there, but I think that you play it because it's powerful and the average is okay. You know, like the average that you get from it, or even the low rolls are generally pretty good.
Well, and I think the reason for me personally that I have less problems with those is because the items they're either going to give you bonuses of stats or they're going to give you bonuses of stats and do something. And in all of the cases, at least currently, the and do something is like a reasonable effect. It might be a silence, it might be a shield break, with the exception of like a rare Dawnbreaker when you have something on the board. For the most part, it's just going to...
Yeah, that's brutal.
Like, that's brutal. But, like, for the most part, with the Merrics and the Marauders, it's not doing anything that's, like, expanding somebody's board position, and it's not doing anything that you, like, that a Piercing Javelin won't still solve, or that a Dawn's Wrath won't still solve. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it exacerbates an existing condition, whereas Balmora Spymaster, like, if I had $1 for every time that thing, like... you know, turns into a Manticora that kills my creature and, you know, put something there. Or, like, I've lost games because it was shocking Wamasu, but that was as good as Manticora. Or I had somebody spawn, like, a Spider Daedra and then, like, silence their own Spider Daedra or whatever. And, like, just all sorts of weird shit from fucking Balmora Spymaster. You're not gonna
hold on.
Mundustone gets me like that, to be honest.
Mundustone is my #1 hated card.
Yeah, Mundustone will tilt me, but at least then I know that it's like a 1 in 7 or less chance, right? Like, do I hate that it's gonna hit charge every time it needs to hit charge? Absolutely, but at least I can accept it. I can say, okay, they've played Charge Stone, and that's what it is. Like, I can plan for that. That is something that is in a reasonable expectation. I literally, like, if somebody plays Balmora Spymaster and I have to open another tab and go, okay, legendsdex.com, what's the card that's going to fuck me the most? And I have to go through hundreds of options. Like, I have a problem with that. And I know it's irrational and I get it, but like, I just have this inherent hate for like that card more than anything else. But also Heroic Rebirth is in the same vein, just because I think that for me, like, it's hard to pick like an exact sweet spot, right? But I would say that anything more than, like, if I had to gut check it, right? Anything more than like a 1 in 10 chance starts to feel a little rough, right? Like, because even if you have like 20 options, right? Like, do I really want this to be like a roll a d20, right? And crit? Like, am I playing D&D, or do I want... I like variance. I think variance is inherent to card games, and that's what allows you to make skillful decisions. But if you take it too much to the extreme, you take the decision part out.
Dude, this
I
is
get,
like
I get
last
that
week.
with Mundustone. It's willingly, like, someone willingly introducing that amount of variance, and like I imagine it can't feel good to win because of it, and it feels like shit to lose.
It does feel like shit to lose to it. I gotta back up here a second. The Charmer, you sound an awful lot like I did last week when I was talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah, but the difference is I can show you right on the doll where Balmora Spymaster touched me. So,
Damn.
Well, yeah, I think I'd love to see, like, I think there's YouTube content there, you know, like top 10 times I got fucked over by Balmora Spymaster. You know,
I mean, that's what...
Go through the VODs.
I honestly believe that's why that card, Mundustone, Echo of Akatosh, I think that's the reason those cards were designed, is highlight reels.
oh yeah, Royal Sage is right there, you know?
Royal Sage, unfortunately, is a competitively playable card.
I know.
Like,
I
that's
climbed
my
like
problem with that
500
card.
spots with it last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, the card's pretty good, but I think it's kind of like Halffinger Marauder in the sense that, you know, like, it doesn't really matter that, you know, it's not like you want X creature to get X keyword specifically. It's more that it is something that gives you gives you something else on the board, and gives all your other stuff something, you know?
So the one caveat I'll stick there, though, is that with Halffinger Marauder, the items are only going on creatures that have already attacked, whereas with something like Royal Sage and by extension Mundustone, you can give charge. So like the number of times I've won a game because I dropped 2 creatures and then Royal Sage late game, and then 2 of my 3 creatures got charge, like that is something that is like a better board state than what previously was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. What about Jazago?
Jazargo's fine because it's not playable.
Well, it's fine because it's not playable, but also, like, to me,
Look,
that's within the Blood Magic Lord realm, and it's also a unique legendary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel the same way about it. Actually, I like Jazago, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I'm looking at my premium Jazago. I sometimes play it in mid-mage, and it's like...
Yeah.
I think there is some... There's play to it, you know. You have to think like, okay, can I afford to play this now? Like, if I deal 2 to them, great. If it gives all my creatures 2 keywords, boom. If it goes 5 to face for both of us, that kind of sucks. 66%.
Yeah.
I like those odds. Let's do this.
Yeah, it's also and here's the other thing, right? So not only is it like Blood Magic Lord, where if I'm the person playing against Jazargo, like, I at least know what spells are available. And then even if I go, okay, let's assume the worst and he gets, like, the keyword one and that's the one that's going to fuck me, right? Like, I know that that's, like, a one-shot deal, right? Where with Mundustone, like, if you don't have the support removal or you don't have the answer right away, like, you know that every time they play something, like, you're asking for trouble, right? Like, the Skaven that gets lethal, the Odaving that gets drained, the... whatever that gets charged. Like, there's so many ways that card just casinos you. Like, it should be Casino Stone, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's not fun. I think that my attitude has changed towards it because my hatred for it was so unhealthy. Just for me, for me personally, for my own mental health, to be like, you know, like you start a game with someone. Yeah. It's like, all right, cool, you know, say the hello emote, you know, do it back. It's like, okay, great, you know, like we're just playing some games here, lovely, you know, like turn 4 comes down, they slam it, and just like, eyes narrow, hit mute. It's like, why would you do this, you bastard? Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
man.
you know, it's like you're sitting down to play Magic at your local comic shop, and the guy introduces himself, and you shake hands, and you're like, all right, we'll have a good game. And then, like, on turn 3, it's starting to get warm, and he rolls up his sleeves, and he's got, like, a swastika tattoo, and you're like, no, fuck this guy. You know, like...
Hey, hold on. I've played Magic with those guys.
yeah.
Yeah, but you knew going
yeah.
in, and you had no choice.
That's true. That's true.
Jesus.
I don't know if you know this, Ray. I learned to play Magic in prison.
Did you? That's
yes,
cool.
I did. Yeah. We
I
would cut up
to play Magic in Brisbane, which is kind of a similar thing.
Right. I mean, like, it's probably very similar.
Australia is like an entire continent of prisoners, right? Isn't that the way it works?
Pretty much.
Nice.
Pretty much.
Dude, I was watching this, so I was on watching Netflix with Sandra. We were watching a show about like wacky nature things, and there's this golf course somewhere in Australia, and I'm putting you on the spot, speaking for all Australians here.
Right.
There's this golf course where there are sharks in the water hazards, right? And I thought this was just like this was perfect because this was exactly what I kind of expected from Australia, and this is it's amazing.
That's what it's like. Like, it wouldn't just be one. I don't know why they've focused on one. That's a pretty common thing. Like, surviving to adulthood in Australia is a feat in itself. Like,
I got family in Australia, and they always crack me up. They're like, yeah, we got the spider that's like a black widow back home, but like there's 2 in your house before it's even built. And they're like, you know, my cousin, unfortunately, he's passed away now from cancer, but he used to tell me all the time, like, yeah, I was mowing my yard, and like I ran over 4 snakes, and like 3 of them were venomous enough to kill me. I guess I should pay better attention or something, you know? And just like all the time, just like the most horrific, like couldn't go outside today because the birds were attacking people's faces. And I was like, what?
Yeah. I don't know if they have them in the States or, you know, wherever, because I'm not particularly worldly. But there's like 4 or 5 birds that do it. But the one that particularly terrorized my childhood was the magpie.
Yeah, magpies.
And
we have magpies
I used to go play Nintendo 64 at my friend's house, and one summer this magpie built a nest in between locations A and B, and I couldn't be friends with that person anymore. Like, I go to walk to their house, and this terrifying pterodactyl of a fucking thing just and heck the shit out of me, and I run home crying, and my mom's like, what's wrong? I'm like, magpie. She's like, it's magpie season. Not like, you know, that's an isolated incident. They're just goddamn everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have them in the States.
I love that season. Is like, that's like lasts for 6 months.
Yeah, I can't speak for Justin, but here in the state that I live in, I live in Michigan. It's the one that's shaped like a mitten. And so, like, here, we don't really have a whole lot of things that we worry about because our winter kills everything. Like, the biggest thing you have to worry about in Michigan is suicide because we get so little sunlight and it's just shit all year round. And so, like, people just kill people in my state.
Okay, yeah. It definitely happens here, but yeah, we don't really have guns and stuff.
Right.
That got shut down a few decades ago.
Good move. I mean, I support that.
I mean, it was like the one good thing that one of the more conservative kind of dynasties of prime ministers did in recent memory.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like his one good thing. Got rid of guns.
Yeah, so I live in, just to give you a little insight about where I live. I live in Denver, which is in the Rocky Mountains, right in the western mid part of the country. And it's winter about 6 months here. My elevation's over a mile high here, so
nice.
It's cold.
Yeah. You're in the Mile High Club.
Yes, literally every day. I mean, now that I'm using high rock male enhancement more often than it used to be, anyway.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Were there any other? I just realized that's like a super sharp segue. I was gonna like, were there any other new cards that kind of piqued your interest?
It's funny you should mention because they just revealed Murderous Magpie. Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah, it's kind of like Skyrim in that sense, where just things attack you as you're walking from Whiterun to Brisbane. You know.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, of the stuff that was revealed recently, I think Weakness is interesting. I think Mechanar's Will is interesting. I really like Barrow Stalker. And even though I don't think it's good, I'm dying to play Reconstruction Engine in Silent Spellsword.
Yeah, look, I think
Reconstruction.
Barrow Stalker is the most powerful card they've revealed so far.
The vampire, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I think that I think it makes like kind of slower warrior decks. I think it makes them a bit more viable, and
Yes.
same with sorcerer. Like it's pretty much had a weakness of having early guards and also ways to to either just drain or heal in general. And I think that Barrow Stalker helps with both.
Warrior control is exactly what my first thought was with this, right? Like, right now, warrior control decks run things like Protector of the Innocent, Windkeep Spellsword, and then Barrow Stalker, I think, is superior to both of those in every way.
Yeah,
in that situation.
I think aside from having Prophecy for Protector of the Innocent, but yeah, I've been playing a lot of Control Warrior, and
same here. Yeah.
I've got a deck list. It's just 47 cards, just waiting to slot this in.
Nice.
To be honest.
Yeah,
because it's decent already, I think.
I think that the thing that is probably missing for a lot of people, like if you look at Barrow Stalker and you're thinking like, I don't understand why this is as good as some people say it is. It's because it's good in both phases of the game, and for an early drop that's really important. Like when you look at your really powerful 2-drops in the game, it's things like Wardcrafter that is good on 2 and it's good on 10, right?
Yeah.
Or you look at something like even Fighters Guild Recruit. Even if it didn't have Prophecy, it would probably still see play, because if you need it early, it's a good speed bump, and if you need it late, it's still a good speed bump that has the potential to trade up. Now, Barrow Stalker doesn't have that trade-up potential, but it does have the ability to be that speed bump early if you need it, but if you do draw it late, it threatens the ability to gain health and let you stabilize, right? So you can throw it in an open lane and then force your opponent to deal with it lest you gain health. Or in the case of like Warrior, it's, maybe you don't have that Night Shadow ready to go with your Unstoppable Rage, but Barrow Stalker and this for 9 is better than nothing, right? So
absolutely,
it's just enabling decks while also being good in both phases of the game, which is usually like a hallmark of a really good 2-drop.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I think that it's very unassuming, don't get me wrong, and it could turn out to be crap, but particularly Sorcerer and Warrior is where I think of it, and I think that it will enable those decks to be able to interact and stabilize in the early and mid game, as well as having late game utility that they didn't previously have as much.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's a cool card.
Yeah.
I do have to talk about Dragon Aspect though, the neutral shout card that was revealed.
Yep.
So this is a 4-cost shout card, so it's an action. Says at level 1 you gain 3 health and battle an enemy creature as if you had 3 power. At level 2 you gain 5 health, battle as if you had 5 power, and at level 3 you gain 7 health and battle an enemy creature as if you had 7 power. Besides the fact that I think this card looks really cool and is very evocative of like the Skyrim Dragon Aspect shout.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one of those cards that props up some like tier 3, tier 4 strategies pretty significantly. I don't want to get too hyped on this card because I wish it cost 3. I guess would be my biggest thing. But like,
you can't have it be crushing. You can't have it be at the same cost as Crushing Blow, I think.
But I think that I always think about how overwhelmingly powerful Battle Mage would be if it could gain significant amounts of life, right? Because it already has the best card draw in the game. It's got some of the best removal in the game. It has trouble playing from behind because any deck with reach can just kill you. So you have to right now the way you win with a slow Battle Mage deck is to just win very quickly once you pivot to to winning.
You turn the corner and just shut the door as quick as you can.
Right.
Basically.
But with Dragon Aspect, I see, along with the card we talked about a couple weeks ago, the Clockwork Dragon, we've now got 2 reasonably playable new neutral life gain cards that I think one of the first things I'm going to try is putting these into sort of a overdraw Battle Mage control deck.
Awesome. Because like before that, what was there? Like Glass Helmet?
Yeah,
Right.
Glass Helmet, is that what it's called? Yeah.
I mean, you would run the 7
Or
drop
Mundastone?
Mundastone, right? Yeah.
Or
No, you
Black
would
Reach
run-
Rebuilder?
I mean, I would run the 2/4 for 7 with Prophecy that gains you 4 life when it comes into play.
Yeah. Oh yeah, how'd that go past that? Dank Harvester.
Right, Dank Harvester. That's that's their only like reasonable life gain source. I mean, like Glass Helmet's like, I don't know, man. I feel like you should play something else.
I actually
That's
kind of
a
like
lot of
Glass
picks.
Helmet and Sorcerer because you can run it with Master of Arms, and nobody expects the I played Master of Arms to gain 8 health strategy.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I've had that happen to me actually just yesterday. It was
'Cause the only other ways to do it are like random ways, right?
Yeah.
right.
Like Illusory Mimic doesn't do it in Battle Mage because you need to have drain stuff.
Mhm.
And
Um,
Mundastone, the aforementioned and
Oh,
much loved.
Charmer's favorite card could give
Yeah.
a drain creature.
What wisdom of the ancients,
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
But that's a card I'm
Real
excited
Sage, not on the stick.
about. Right.
And what about the one that got spoiled last night? Is it Messinars?
Yeah, Mechanar's Will. I'm really excited for that. I think that's much better than it looks on first initial glance.
Yeah, you made an interesting post, I think, Charmer, about why you think this card is more powerful than like effects you're familiar with in Magic.
Yeah, so this card is
Treason.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean it's from Magic. It's also I think Shadow Madness and Hearthstone, if you remember that.
Yeah.
But Shadow Madness saw play in Hearthstone as well. But I think that the big difference between like this game and Magic is that the attacker chooses targets, right? So in Magic,
Right.
if you take somebody's creature, more often than not, you're then also pitching it to a sacrifice engine and or using it like to do damage to their dome. But in this,
Or
like
2 for 1 them by trading with one of their own creatures.
well, yeah, so that's exactly it, right? With this game, because I can steal one creature and then drive it right back into one of their own, this becomes potentially, 5 for a 2 for 1. But that's like maybe the least interesting use, right? It's in willpower, so it's going to fit very nicely in Blink Mage strategies. So like if I take something and then I also Dark Rebirth it, then I get to keep it. There's also interesting things like Cruel Firebloom, right? Or other potential sacrifice engines as well. And
Altar
Yeah,
yeah.
Altar Despair, definitely.
Altar
is definitely a thing.
is definitely a thing as well. The other interesting thing is, as we're on, topic with Drain, not that willpower has problems with gaining health, but if you take somebody else's Drain creature, it could turn around and give you some more stability. I really like the card. Even if you're in an aggressive deck, right? Like, let's say you're playing like mid-mage, you could, I'm not saying you would, but you could consider playing this over something like Javelin, just because you could take somebody's Hive Defender to get the guard out of the way and also do the extra damage, right? Like, they're...
Hive Defender is it's not the friend of aggro decks.
Yeah, it's not the friend of aggro decks, or, even in like Control Mirrors, even if you don't have like a sacrifice engine or anything weird, just stealing the tome from somebody's Daggerfall Mage, right? Like you take Daggerfall Mage.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
You pop it into their creature and then you get their tome. Like there's so many, like, I think cool little nuanced things about this card that I like.
Yeah, I agree.
I think like pulling off like Cloud Rest and this, and then another thing is a bit too costly, both
Magic
wise and cards wise.
9 Magicka, you can steal Nahagleaf.
If you run Goblin Skulk, I hear he can fetch Calm.
Yeah.
What?
That's what I was about to say, to be honest. Like,
I remember
potentially see people trying to use Calm with this because it's free.
I mean,
Calm is a card I've always looked a lot closer at than like I've rarely played it, but I always look close at it because I remember during either the end of closed beta or the beginning of open beta, LSV did a stream for Legends where he was drafting, and he drafted 2 columns. He's like, this card's real good. And like, who the hell am I to question his, like a designer in the game, his insight into these cards?
Yeah, not me. I mean, it's a combat trick, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And
For zero.
with an effect like that, it does enable some stuff. I think it's the kind of thing where you wouldn't want to run Calm and Mechanized Will as just like a combo, but rather
Right.
you'd want to run it with other stuff, so you've kind of got a critical mass of
Yeah.
Right.
of
I
moving
was
parts
thinking
that work
like
well together.
You need a deck with enough board presence to make Calm a 0 cost removal spell.
I was trying
Yeah.
to imagine a
This is Grizzly Gourmet.
like a
execution.
version. I was gonna say I was
Right.
gonna think of like a version of Monk that instead of focusing on the curse package, like you create a version that focuses on what I would call just the calm package, right? So you maybe try to fetch calms with your skulks, or maybe it's not even Monk, maybe it's something else, but like I could justify running calm if I also ran a full suite of executes, Grizzly Gourmets, and Mechanar's Wills, and then also running Cloud Rest, right?
Yeah.
I do want to say though that if you're running a Calm package, maybe you should check out High Rock Mail Enhancement.
Oh, you're not wrong.
No.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not, you don't have to jump through too many hoops to make Calm or Mechanized Will bad. Like, the setup cost is not particularly high. Like, if this,
Right.
if you've got board parity, it's like, okay, I'll cast Calm and trade for free.
Right.
That's a fine use of a card.
Right. I want to real quick. Some of you guys were talking about Hive Defender. Hive Defender has to be one of the top 10 most powerful cards in the game, right?
I think I'd put it in top 5, to be honest.
Yeah.
If we're ranking, like,
I guess like 10 is just an arbitrary number here, but like Hive Defender, I think it defines the entire metagame in a lot of ways. Its existence, even if it's not in the game you're playing.
yeah, it's real good. It's real hard to get past. Like, if
Yeah.
you think how aggro decks are constructed, like,
Right.
Yeah, like
you kind of have to have a way to get past it. Like, people run Shield Breaker, even after it got a point of Magicka added to it, or what's the 4-cost silence thing called? I'm terrible with card names when I'm tired.
Oh, Earthbound Spinner.
Earthbound
Yeah,
Spinner.
that's the one. Earthbound Spinner. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. You have to have a way to kill it in mind, because sometimes when you can't and they play it, you're like, okay, I guess this creature just won the field lane, and
Right.
I can't really do anything about that.
I think that its existence, is why. Well, I mean, it's one of those things. Like this goes back to what you're saying about a solved meta. I think that the power level of cards in this game is generally high enough, and there's a large enough card pool that whenever anything becomes particularly popular, there are decks you can run to counter it that aren't. There's no like clear tier 1 best in show deck, but when something gets big enough, you can run something that's got a good matchup against it, which I think is totally healthy. I think that one of the things that keeps cards like Hive Defender in check is that most aggressive decks have answers to it that are staples of those decks, right? So like I think that this makes me think about how Fighters Guild Recruit is sort of another just like all-purpose good card answer that can be like hated out of the meta, right? Like when mid-range Sorcerer was everywhere, no one was playing Fighters Guild Recruit. I had a point here and I've completely fucking lost it. Dude, I'm sorry. I had somewhere I was going. I was like, all right, and next, I'm a genius.
I think
Yes,
what
let's
you were
go.
trying to say, like, let me step in
fuck?
and I'll try to solve this for you. I think that what you're
Yeah.
trying to say is that ubiquity isn't necessarily the sign of something being overpowered as much as it is just being good or consistent. Because there are plenty of cards that, like, you can see be everywhere and then suddenly not, just because they're, again, ubiquity doesn't necessarily mean overpowered. Like Lightning Bolt's right up there, Piercing Javelin's right up there. These are cards that are, for the most part, actually Piercing Javelin might be the other best example. for a long time, people couldn't imagine a world where you played Willpower and you didn't include Piercing Javelin, right? Like, they were just like, it's an auto-include in every deck. But, like, I can tell you that I've played plenty of Willpower decks that don't run it. Like, I wouldn't run it in any version of tokens, you know,
I was going to say, that's a pretty recent development, though, because...
I've seen people do it, but it's I wouldn't either,
Yeah. So, but now it may be a recent development, but it was just one of those things that it took that state to be there. And so, you know, what I'm trying to say is that I can imagine a world where Hive Defender isn't run, you know, if...
In a world where one defender stands alone.
You know, because it's not the bully that it used to be. Like, let's be honest, more and more answers are coming. You know, it's actually really interesting because, like, Earthbone Spinner used to be as ubiquitous as Hive Defender was, and Earthbone Spinner has really kind of faded away because we get cards like Shield Breaker now, and we get cards, you know, that also let us go around, like Archer's Gambit. We can go around Hive Defender now, and, you know, Gambit's significantly better than Shadow Shift was. So
did Housecarl push it out at all as like a function of simply having a lot at the 4-drop slot? Like, I mean, if you look at Willpower, there's Cloud Resolutionist and Hive Defender, two of probably the best cards in the game, and running more than that at 4, or running or not running those, I think you have to have a pretty good reason not to, whether it's in, you know, control, mid-range, or aggro. Like,
Housecarl changed a lot, man. Like, I think up until the release of Housecarl, the best, I mean, not to toot my own horn here, but I'm pretty sure the best Crusader deck in the game was mid-range Crusader with the life gain package, right? And I think that Housecarl coming out, because that version of Crusader destroys the other version of Crusader, and it draws tons of cards, and the other Crusader deck was getting by on the margins, right? Like edging out, like an extra kill with Skaven Pyromancer or Rapid Shot and stuff, and the Crusader deck with Housecarl just blows, you know, throws everything out there, and if it gets one hit in, that's fine because you're going to draw more cards. I think that the 4-drop slot is so full of powerful cards that you have a couple opportunities here. Like, in the right situation, you may say to yourself, like, Housecarl is the right option, Hive Defender is the right option, Earthbone Spinner is the right option. But because there's so many, like, very powerful, that spot is so packed with power in the Crusader archetype. Like,
there's Garnag and Reeve as well. Like,
right.
Dushnik Jarl Archer, the last monthly card, which I think is insane. Yeah. And Dawnbreaker too. Like, you really got to pick, like, if it's like the mono strength style Crusader decks, like, I mean, Housecarl is obviously a given.
Yes.
You know, I've seen people, and also I have, you know, like Ayala's Huntmate is a fine card.
Right. You know, if you're like me, it's rampaging Memetar.
Right.
Minotaur, yeah. I mean, even people play, you know, Lumbering Ogre from time to time just because on stats it's a really good deal.
Right.
That's a card that I think is underplayed.
Pretty much is vanilla. Yeah,
like, I'm gonna be really honest right now. There's not been. I've been saying it jokingly about Markarth Bannerman and Quenwall Burglar, but that card falls into the same pool. Lightning Bolt is maybe the least played now than it's ever been in the history of the game because we don't have, like, a lot of the intelligence-based mid-range decks floating around. So, like, that used to be the problem with Ogrim. Like, you played Ogrim and it got bolted. But right now, with the way the meta is, there might not be a better time to give that guy a go, and a 7/4 is pretty good.
I'm not gonna lie though, dude. I'd rather live in a world where people weren't playing 7/4s on turn 4 than a world where they are. I mean, just as a guy...
I've seen people playing it recently.
The guy who plays the kinds of decks I play. Yeah.
In, like, mid-range, but more on the aggressive side of things, like Battle Mage decks.
Yeah.
Like, having a 7/4 that you can chuck a Battle Mace on is insane.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, so we got some people who haven't seen the commercial. How about we run the commercial and then take those 2 minutes to think about... let's just focus a discussion on cards we were wrong about in our predictions for Heroes of Skyrim, and then cards that we think, like, really ended up overperforming.
Sounds great.
Cool.
All right, here we go.
you a man over 30? Are you finding yourself unsatisfied with an unsatisfied partner? Is your Daedra feeling weak and inept? Are you living life on a low rock, heading nowhere, as fast as you can possibly get there? This used to be all of us. When you head into battle, thinking that you've got an orcish warhammer ready for combat, only to find yourself suddenly wielding an improvised weapon, having to make do, well, no more. Don't be this guy. Don't be the man down on himself, because now, for all the men in the world, there's High Rock Summoner, when the only thing that's going to give her lethal is a bone colossus. Every year, millions of Tamriel citizens face a reptile dysfunction when their scout deck isn't performing the way they'd like. High Rock Summoner is here because a 7/6 on board is better than a 1/1 in hand. Whether you're taking her to the romantic mountains of High Rothgar, or you're just hanging around a bar in Whiterun, High Rock Summoner is here to support you in every aspect of your life and make you the man you want to be and that she deserves. You should be aware that High Rock Summoner is not approved by the FDA. Possible side effects include jaundice, flame atronach, suicidal thoughts, storm atronach, diarrhea, fire atronach, and death. Dark rebirth may increase these risks. Ask your doctor if High Rock Summoner is right for you. Don't settle for an average summon. Be rock hard with High Rock Summoner.
So, who wants to go first?
We could go by color, or how do you want to do this, man?
I'm easy, to be honest. I mean, I didn't play pre-Heroes of Skyrim, so I'm kind of
Sure.
I'm giving the newbie kind of viewpoint here,
Absolutely.
comparatively.
Okay, well, I will say one of the cards I was most wrong about was Undying Dragon. I thought that 6 life, I thought that 6 Magicka was going to be too much to stabilize with a 5/5 with Drain.
Mhm.
And I think that card has been performing really, really well.
So, I'm not surprised by its performance. What I'm actually surprised about personally is that it's being used differently. I think where we missed is that we thought it was going to be used for stabilizing, and it turns out it's not. It's the beatdown creature and control mirrors.
Right,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like, that's, I think, where we missed it, because we kept thinking about it like, okay, if we're using this to stabilize against aggro, it may or may not be that good, but that's not how it's used. It's a control mirror breaker, and that's why it's
true.
so much better, in my opinion.
Oh, I think it's still. I think it is one of many stabilizing tools, but where it really shines is when you haven't damaged each other.
Yeah.
You're like,
Right.
oh shit, a 10/10.
Right.
I
Or
have got
even-
a Manticore or a piercing jab left.
Right.
Yeah, or even just, like, threatening it, right? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been at, like, 28, but, like, I play the dragon, and then people panic because they're afraid I'm going to play, like, Knight of the Hour next turn and then swing for a ton, right? Like...
Yeah.
It's very scary.
It's very good in that role, and I think that's why we whiffed so hard. Like, it's okay at stabilizing, but it's only as good, in my opinion, as we thought it was going to be. We just hadn't expanded our mind to the, like, control popping mirror aspect.
That's true.
So, for me, a card that I thought would see far more play than what ended up occurring was Deepwood Trapper.
That was next on my list, man. Deepwood Trapper is a card that I still think is really strong that doesn't have a deck it shines in.
Yeah. It does. It doesn't really have a home, does it? Even like Shackle Assassin.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't play it.
Is he's
where-
playing mono green, I think? Like some goblin variants I've seen run it, but that's about it.
Same. I think I've tried to put it in just about every deck that runs agility, but
Same here.
I just take it out for other things because it's
Right.
so bad. It's kind of just really bad late.
It's sort of the
for the
problem
most
that like
part.
that all the one drops almost in the game have, which is that they just do not hold up, right? Because I mean, 50% of the time you start with 2 Magicka, right? And the one drops that we have access to in this game are just, other than like Relentless Raider, just not huge impact, right?
Word wall.
Oh, Word Wall is a good example of one that is. You're right.
That's a decent one.
Yeah, that's true.
And Shadow Me has a home here and there.
That's true. I put Shadow Me in a lot of decks it doesn't belong in.
Yeah, same.
Right next to Deepwood Trapper is. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said same. That's all.
Yeah. Right next to Deepwood Trapper is another card out that I want to clarify something I said, which is that I said once that Palace Prowler might be the most powerful thing you can do on turn 1. Now, hold on. I need to explain myself here and admit that I was wrong at the same time while trying to save as much face as possible.
Yep.
I think that Palace Prowler is still an incredibly powerful thing to do on turn 1 if, like, all you can do is drop a 1-drop. But there's not a deck capitalizing on the payoff that it offers, right? It's also just super fragile, and because it's totally outclassed by all the 2-drops in the game, it's just not seen any play whatsoever. But I tried to make it.
Yeah.
I have been killed by it. I've seen in like some of the more what's the word? Just better attempts at Pilfer Monk.
Yeah.
I mean, getting to 3 Magicka or on turn 2 or 4 can be really good. But yeah, it does suck.
Yes, it does.
I think like it has this for me in the back of my mind. It has this layover from Magic where it's like sick. That's Llanowar off, let's play it.
Exactly.
But yeah, it sadly didn't quite work out like that.
Yeah.
I was wondering which one you were going to go when you said, "Oh, it's right next to it. It's right next to Deepwood Trapper."
I was going to say, so speaking of other layovers for Magic that I thought was going to be far better than what it was, and that's Scouts Report.
That same here, man. That's on my list as well. Scouts Report's been hugely disappointing. I think we all put it in our Scout decks that we were all running the day after Skyrim came out.
Because it doesn't give the functionality of. Maybe I shouldn't make too many Magic references, but like it's kind of like Gataxian Probe, where like you essentially we get to run 3 less cards in your deck.
Right.
And I see some Scout lists playing it, but I'm not that in.
No.
It's not that impressive. I think like the best thing I've ever done with it was when I just started. I was playing in a tournament and I had an Alduin in hand. And I couldn't quite cast it. And then I cast Scouts Report, hit a dragon, dropped it in the bin. I was like, oh, cool. Now I can afford Alduin.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I've lived the dream a few times and dropped an Iron Atronach in my discard pile and then reanimated it. But it's not, obviously very consistent at all.
No, it's not. It's really not. Like, because I've been thinking about like what should I choose here, and I wasn't here before Heroes of Skyrim, but when I first started, I was I tried to build decks and stuff, and just trying to see actual Heroes of Skyrim cards that I used, and honestly, Lockpick was the one that I liked the most. I was just like, this is a unique effect. And I know I put you through this as well, Justin. But I have lived the dream, with like having that and market and other crap in play and getting stuff done. But yeah, I really wish it. I wish it saw more shine. To be honest.
I can agree with that. It does perfectly simulate though the experience of picking locks in Elder Scrolls games. So I will say.
Yeah,
just endless heartbreak and disappointment.
Yeah.
And this might be confirmation bias, but I would love to see if it is a straight up 50% thing.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 outcomes here, right? There's draw another lockpick or, draw a card and reduce its cost by 2.
Yeah.
I feel like it gives a lockpick way more than it gives you a card.
I feel that way as well.
It does feel that way. It felt that way so much to me once that I thought about making a Stealer of Secrets Assassin deck because I was like, I have so many lockpicks in my grave from this stupid card that it would inflate it. But part
I
of
have
me,
I have done that, and it was very bad.
yeah, part of me secretly hopes that there is actually not a 50-50 split. I hope that it starts bad, but after every time you cast Lockpick, it gets better because your skill goes up. Because that would be so Elder Scrolls.
Get the fuck out of here.
No,
dude.
seriously though, that would be so Elder Scrolls themed. Like, I wouldn't even be mad if they were doing that hidden on the back end, you know?
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm actually writing all these cards down so that I can try and make them work before a new set comes out. To be honest.
So another card that I think I'm only going to speak for myself, but I want to say that we were all wrong about is Journey to Sovngarde.
Yeah, that card is good.
Yes, Journey to Sovngarde has gone from a card that I dismissed as being a unique 7-cost action card and like never tried, to being a card that I think you can put in just about any deck. Not every deck, but just about every deck, and have some pretty great success with.
Yeah, I pop it in pretty much every deck I play, to be honest, and I love it. Because who did it? Like the first person that I can remember is Aini putting it in Control Archer, but
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the progenitor of popularizing it is. But that's who I'd give my tip of the hat to.
I'm going to stand by my original assessment because I think that it's still just niche. I don't think that it's as good as we make it seem. I think that's more a proliferation of just like the current ebb and flow of the meta, because it's very, very good in control versus control. And it can sometimes in a mid-range
really
deck, like in the right mid-range deck, it can certainly spin things in your favor against a control or against a mid-range mirror or something. But all of those things require the right like circumstances to be true, and you again still need to be in a position where you can survive playing it and taking the tempo loss. And I just personally feel like the meta has shifted more in that direction because of like recent events, right? Like the reason it wasn't run right after launch was because Scout was incredibly popular. Scout's still popular, but it was way more popular then. And like you couldn't, like even if you're a control deck that was running Journey, like it wasn't enough to just beat Scout because they were going to get there first and then beat you down, right? Like it's cool that you got your buffed creatures, but like they were already playing built ones that were like pre-buffed, if you will. But now that like aggro caught on, and then that like kind of beat Scout into submission, if you will, control has been seeing a resurgence. Not quite, but close to. Yeah, not quite. I mean, like it's a popular deck, and like popularity and power level aren't necessarily going to be hand in hand, and that's fine. But like there's certainly less of them now, and so as a result of the popularity of Crusader and other aggressive strategies, control has been making a resurgence, right? We're seeing more control archer. We're seeing... I've been playing against a bunch of support mages lately just because people are trying to find something that beats Crusader. And so in those games... it
definitely beats Crusader.
Yeah. So like in those games, like it's great. It's a control mirror smasher. But like... You know, if things change and we're suddenly in a position where like control isn't in the position it's in, like I don't see it being, you know, like the auto include amazing thing that it is, like just in the current state of things. We'll see. I know that now that I've done my rant, right, that I do think that it's a niche card. I do plan on playing it even after Clockwork City because I'm going. My goal is to try to make Factotum control work, and I think that it fits perfectly in that.
That makes sense. Of course, we still only have the one Factotum reveal.
Yeah, well, we've seen two. We have a unique legendary and the 3-drop. But it doesn't matter. I'm gonna try to make it. Could just be those two, Justin. I'm gonna try to make it work.
Shine on, Trevor. Shine on.
I don't think that they would bother if there wasn't going to be a way to build like the exact Factotum deck, right? Like,
yeah, I expect there to be...
Isn't just bad otherwise?
I expect to see them all revealed when we have our preview event, whenever that is.
Yeah, I was talking on stream last night that I feel like we're probably going to get about 7 total. And in my head, it's
Okay.
probably going to be like 6 regular ones and then the 1 unique legendary. Because if you run 3 ofs and the unique, that gives you access to 19, which isn't even quite half of your deck, but that's enough to like potentially do the theme and then fit in other stuff. Because like
But they'd be
anything
spread out
less,
across colors, though, right?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a good question.
We've only seen neutral so far, so.
True.
But that's
True.
just it. Like, there's not going to be so many of them that you're going to be like ultra neutral heavy, right? Like, they're going to run enough that it's a package or something that is like a part of your deck. So it wouldn't shock me again if we see like 5 or 6 normal and then the 1 unique legend. Like, that's about what I expect us to see total.
With like
Yeah.
25 cards left to reveal, like we have a lot. I mean, like I want to see. We need more treasure hunters. We need more. I think we're still missing 2 fabricants. And we need more factotums. And we also need more actions because almost everything revealed is a creature.
Yeah. And not that I'm complaining or anything, but we've only had 1 card with prophecy revealed so far.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I think I'm okay with it too. Like, I think the prophecy design space is in a healthy place.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, although one thing I would like is, you know, like the Dawnstar Healer and Relentless Raider change.
Yeah.
I think I would prefer it if it was the kind of the same across the board.
Yeah.
Where either they happened immediately and you couldn't stop it, or
Yeah.
or it's like or it's Relentless Raider where, you know, like it goes on. Not the stack. What even happens?
Yeah.
I guess like the prophecy happens. The prophecy happens first, so you have a chance to respond to it, so to speak.
In personal conversations I've had with Justin, I've said that I really want them to codify it to like an ability word and then make it consistent across. Like, I would love for that to just become like bloodthirst or something, bloodlust.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that you don't have to say like when you break an enemy rune. Like, I'd like it to just be like a word : do the thing, so that you can fit more on a card and create cool, unique interactions, and then also just have it be the same. Just because I told Justin that, you know, and I did a video on it. I would like to see the reverse as well. Like, I want to see Enrage, where it's every time someone breaks one of your runes, like something happens to your creature.
Yeah, make it evergreen.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that what they call it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or yeah. So there are 2 more cards that really stand out to me as cards that I just fucked up on when I was critiquing them, because this is so much more interesting, I feel like, than like, oh yeah, I was definitely right, like Parthenax is good.
Hey, we were definitely right. Mystic Dragon is good. Do you remember how much shit we caught for that?
I know. We both said Mystic Dragon was the most powerful card in the set, or
Yeah.
at least one of them.
Yeah, we were like, when we were rating them on a stream, we were like, both Justin and I were like 9 out of 10, and people thought we were crazy.
Even the other guy with us,
Really?
we were with who was it that night?
We
were on somebody else's podcast.
Jim, right? Mike, Gym Class Hero, great guy.
Yes,
Love him.
Yes, love his show. Great guy, great streamer.
Yeah.
Was totally wrong about Mystic Dragon.
But that's because
to be fair,
I was gonna say we had nightmares about Bat. Like, we remembered the Moonlight Werebat. So
exactly.
I mean, it's certainly not broken though. I think I think it's almost like the perfectly designed card in a sense. You know, like 4/4/4. When someone hits it off a prophecy, you're not like, oh, okay, yeah, it doesn't have guard, doesn't gain life or anything. Like, it's just something that something that you can deal with.
When you play Legends, you go into it. Yeah, you assume the risk of like having prophecies ruin your day. So like, I mean, it's not the dumbest thing that could happen.
No,
like, you know,
no, it's not.
It takes some getting used to. But like, for instance, Charmer and I were both in closed beta, right? So like, unfortunately, some of my horrible feedback might have influenced this game. And my very first feedback report was about how overpowered I felt like Portcullis was.
Really?
yeah,
Dude, okay, so like, you have
Has
to
it been
imagine.
changed at all?
No. You have to remember though that like we all had no collections and just playing some shitty aggro deck, and I was like, my report was like, look, Portcullis felt really powerful, like just getting it out of nowhere, like totally shut me down, and then he put items on it, which just doesn't feel very flavorful.
Well, when you think about it, as a prophecy, it's tied with tier for the most
Right.
stats that you can hit off a prophecy.
That's true.
Yeah, they're all in health, which is useful for some decks and maybe less useful for others. But
Right.
I think
No, I mean,
there are things I'd rather hear.
yeah. But I wanted to say the other cards I was just way off about. Quick shout out to Battle Mage's Onslaught, which is not one I think I was wrong about. I think that card is super powerful. I just think that it has no deck to be played in right now.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's draw 3 cards for 4 is way above what any other card in this game can do.
Yeah. Now remember that when you're thinking about Daring Heist.
That says draw 2 cards, man, but it costs 3. Anyway, hold on. The other 2 cards I was way off about were I labeled Encumbered Explorer as one of the most powerful cards in the set. Because, I mean, coming from Magic, it's a 1-drop, there's a 2/3. I was like, oh, this is the ultimate control tool. Turns out no decks run that at all.
Yeah. Curve is a drawback. Not good enough for
Right.
not good enough for Legends. I've seen people play it though, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I played it when it first came out.
endurance-based aggressive decks for the most part, like self-silence and stuff.
Yeah, self-silence Scout's a deck I always try to make work.
Yeah. So I think Siege Catapult just kind of gives you the best bang for buck there.
Exactly. The other card I was wrong about is Serpentine Stalker. This is actually the card that the first card I crafted when the set came out. It was in my first Scout decks that I played. And I still think it's a reasonably powerful card. This is a 4/4 dragon for 4. Says Slay +2/+0 and may move to attack creatures in the other lane. I was like, oh, what a great way to start cleaning things up for a mid-range deck, you know.
Kind of like it's got that Blood Dragon kind of vibe, I imagine.
Right, but it just has never really paid off. It's never really paid off. It doesn't trade well into things that opponents are doing on turn 4, and even the synergy with Woodland Lookout, which is another way that you can gain control of the game from as you progress into the later stages of the game, just hasn't been enough to make Serpentine Stalker work.
Yeah. I've tried it in bad decks.
Right,
I just didn't quite get there. I think I played. It was okay in Heroes of Skyrim only Archer.
Yeah.
I played in that, and that went okay.
Yeah.
But that's not really a format, thankfully.
Yeah. Or you're talking about Heroes of East Empire Crafter.
Yeah, which is it's what it degenerated into.
Right.
As I think that's the thing that's happened to every limited format we've had thus far.
It is.
So
East Empire Pauper was another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, if I had to pick like 2 more cards, I'm not gonna say that I was like wrong on, but I will say that I was definitely too low on initially. These are 2 cards that I remember us both saying like could have some value, but we'll have to see how it plays out. And then turns out we're actually really good. The first, and I'm ashamed of it, I was not nearly high enough on Shield Breaker, and that was even back when it was a 2 cost. And
that's true.
Then it turns out I pioneered a deck that ran every version of it that you could want.
Right. It's actually why we're not friends.
Yeah, but I was way too low on that card.
Effect.
It was very, very strong when it first launched. I think it's still strong now, even after the nerf. And then the other one that I was way too low on was Greybeard Mentor. I really felt like the 4 cost for a 2/2 body. I mean, again, it drew you a card, but it just felt like that wouldn't be enough at the time.
Yeah, but I think there's 2 ways of playing it that I think both bear mentioning. Like, I think its best home is in Scout, where you're happy to, get either of your shouts. But if you're playing it in the deck with only one shout, then or only one kind of shout, it's just a straight up shooter.
Right.
And I think that is not something that we've seen so much, but I think it's pretty strong.
I totally plan on running it alongside the new neutral shout in my hypothetical Battle Mage deck.
Sweet. Not gonna run Foos or Fire Breath?
Nah, fuck that. No, to
Fair
be honest
enough.
with you, I think that the blue shout is a lot better than like its absolutely zero play would suggest.
Yeah, I mean it's been seeing a bit of play in Steelers Secrets OTK.
Right. That's
Yeah,
true.
but that was before we had reverberating strike.
True. We'll definitely see how that turns out. I'm very like it seems really good, right? Like there's magic cards that are similar to it.
Yeah.
But I think like I can see a lot of Nord firebrands and well, they're just called Imperial soldiers, are they? What are they called?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's just
Imperial Grunt, maybe?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's the one. I can see a lot of those dying to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, it's fine just on curve, like 3 for 3, right? It can't go face, but
Yeah, I mean it's
probably be too good.
it's a 1-for-1 with upside. Like obviously the meme dream is, somebody gets lucky with their Ungolem and they play 3 assassins and you respond with blowing them all up, or late game somebody gets cocky and drops like 2 mighty allies, 1 in each lane, so that you have to respond and you blow them both up, right? Like there's really high quality plays that could occur, but more often than not, it's just going to be, I nuke something and that's it.
But I think that's like that's fine, right? Like the floor on it is perfectly acceptable, and the ceiling, well, or the upside is insane.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't see. Well, actually, no, I'm not. I don't think that it's an auto include, but I think there'll be a lot of control decks with this in it.
Yeah, I agree.
Once the set drops.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
You know what? I think would be interesting. I'm just kind of looking towards the future here. Ray, you're known for your creative deck building, and your skill at the game. Charmer is known for his skill at the game and creative deck building, and I'm known for creative deck building and dressing up and makeup. So I was thinking, after the set comes out, we should do another episode together where we brew some stuff together and then battle each other.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, so I can take my factotum control for a spin.
Right.
I'm totally going to try to make be a thing.
Right, and I can try to defeat my hand size in Battle Age.
And I'll bring everything else.
Bro, you'll win those games. Let's keep it 100 here.
That'd be great. I really look forward to doing that.
Sweet.
A new set is
It's the best time to play a game.
Yeah, especially if you're if you enjoy deck building, which like who doesn't, right?
Right. Well, actually, I think the answer is most people.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be so fun, and I intend to stream every second of it. To be honest.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of having a mini nervous breakdown because in 4 days, there's so much stuff that I'm gonna want to do, and I already work like 2 other jobs, and I don't know when I'm gonna find the time, because not only am I gonna want to build new stuff, play it on the ladder, make videos, but like I'm also gonna want to do the hard mode story content just like I did for Fall of the Dark Brotherhood, and do my videos and write-ups. And I think like mine were kind of slow coming out the last time, but it's because I wasn't just like, okay, I did the quick video and then I was done. Like I'm kind of a, I don't know, like perfectionist is the wrong word, but like I kind of pride myself in like not just doing that. So like I do the full write-up and I build it on Legends decks and I do all those things, and like in my head I'm going, okay, I know that there's 35 story missions, and if it's like the last time, some of those might have more than one way to complete them. So I'm probably looking at like in 4 days I'm gonna have like a minimum of like 40 story mode videos I have to make, deck write-ups I have to type up, and that's not even counting like stuff for ladder. So like I'm having a nervous breakdown a little bit, but that's all right.
You'll be alright, man.
I'm just gonna marathon it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. That's my problem.
Yeah, that sucks. But it's kind of excitement, anxiety, almost like.
To be fair, Charmer has a much more like whole and satisfying life than either of us have, right?
Yeah, without going too deep, I assume so.
I mean, he's a family man. Like, you gotta give it to him.
Yeah, I mean you're
He's
pretty
my.
close. You got a soon-to-be wife and a kitty, and
I do have a cat.
I have 2 jobs, but you've got grad school as your second
That's true.
job, so
That's
you're
true.
not far off.
No.
Yeah.
And
I've
Ray's
got what I've got.
Ray's got killer animals all around him.
I was gonna say he's just trying to survive. Like,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You know, before we get off, actually, like I wanted to say, Ray, I know you were doing a. Well, actually, why don't you tell people about what you've been doing on your stream lately?
In terms of like charity kind of thing.
Yes.
Sure. So basically, long story short, I'm on disability for I've got fibromyalgia and like 3 bulging discs in my spine, so it's like constant chronic pain. And my only income is disability payments, and I can't pay my rent. And apparently some landlords get angry about that shit. So yeah, basically I've put a donation link up that people are able to donate if they like, but I don't. I never wanted to have this be part of streaming. You know, I wanted it to just be. I wanted to just build something cool without trying to make money from it. But
Yeah.
But you know, as much as I don't like asking for money, I also like being homeless even less. So.
No, I totally understand,
So,
man.
yeah. Long story short, that's where it is. That's where I'm at.
So last week, people were asking, they were donating to Charmer, and they were like, "How do we donate to you, Justin?" And I said, "Give money to the ACLU." Well, now I have a new plan, which is you should give your money to the greatest streamer from Australia, Rei Barker. We should watch him and follow him because he makes great content. The decks he's built are some of the coolest things I've ever seen anyone do in this game. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like, you got to check out his win conditionless monk deck. But
Thank you. I appreciate that. I wouldn't want to take that title from Link, but I think he's in terms of an Australian streamer, but he seems like he might have stepped away for a bit.
fuck
But
that.
I appreciate I appreciate your generosity.
No.
It means a lot to me.
Well, you're a cool dude, and I mean, like, you're a good content creator, and people deserve to get you into their lives if they like Legends, and so just wanted to get that out there.
Thank you to both of you. I know it's a cliche thing to say, but it warms the shit out of my heart. It really does. Like,
Yeah.
people giving and helping it's been so wonderful. Yeah.
Well, look, I'm not a doctor,
I'm so grateful.
although I am a mental health professional, and I think that if you have shit in your heart, you should get that looked at.
I will for sure. I've got a doctor's appointment this week.
That's good.
So should we talk about cards more? Or
Actually, we're due for the interactive part, and by due I mean we were supposed to do it an hour ago.
Yeah, man, we fuck up.
Yeah, every week.
Oh well,
Yeah.
we've been living up to the fun part for me at least. I've been enjoying myself. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the part of the show where anybody in chat who wants to ask us about Legends, or frankly anything else for that matter, you can ask us about it. We'll answer your questions, and we'll have a good time doing it.
Yeah, listen,
Sure.
if you want to talk about the game, we'll do it. But if you have like Dear Abby style stuff, and you need just life advice, then we will be happy to mess up your life for you.
Right.
If you want to find out more about how you can donate to the imminently homeless with imminent death syndrome,
Jesus Christ, bro.
hey, we could all die at literally any moment. It's imminent death syndrome. I've got it.
Yeah. Meteors,
Justin.
That's not what my God says.
I'll happily answer any question.
Absolutely.
I'm an open book.
Yeah.
So we've got Shay Tranquille saying, what is the funnest / coolest deck that each of you have seen / played?
That's a good question. Lately, it's Pete Crichton built this deck that wins with Stormcloak Camp. It's basically 47 removal spells and 3 Stormcloak Camps. That's been an entertaining one to win with.
I think for me, it's actually a deck I've never personally piloted, but I remember being so like gleefully in awe the first time that I got beat by the the monk combo deck with the 5-drop. I'm drawing a blank now.
The Ring of Namira one?
No. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the card. It's a 5-drop that, like, whenever you play an action, you summon a creature from your deck.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Chanter of Akatosh. There we go. Yeah, like the first time that I lost to that, I remember going, "Wow, that was actually really cool." And it's been a long time since I can think of a deck that made me that I played against a deck and went, oh wow, that's actually really cool, you know, like that was the last one for me.
For me, it was ever. Shit,
sure.
I don't know. I know. Well, recently, I think in the space of about 2 hours, I played against both Kassedin and Arnie. It was like Leaf Water combo, Alter Scout. Yeah, it was insanity. I don't 100% know what was going on. And it played 60 cards as well, just to troll everyone.
Nice.
Yeah, that deck was sick.
Yeah, if you follow CVH on Twitter lately, he's been complaining about people running more than 50 cards in their decks.
Yeah, it's becoming a thing. I don't know what's going on.
I secretly have been seeing those complaints, and I desperately want to run 51 cards for every deck and just throw in Shadow Mirror as like the one card over for every deck, just because. Like,
dude, you and Ray are like twins, man. Because I swear to God, he does that too.
That one I submitted had 51 cards.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
So, Absolutely Terabad asks, Got Grill Gragnatin what do? Which I assume is
Jesus Christ, dude.
I assume that's Ick Latin for I got my girl pregnant, what do I do?
Whatever she asks you to do.
The answer is don't let it near your legs or you'll tear a meniscus. Conversely, it may have actually been got my grill pregnant, what do I do? In which case I would say get a tetanus shot because you put your junk in your grill.
That's true. If you want a serious answer to that, which I don't think you do, but if you do, what you should do is listen to how she feels about it. Treat her with respect and kindness.
Be supportive and communicative.
Yes.
Yeah, just try to be there for her.
Ozymandias says, Justin, choose one. You have to get into Bitcoin or aggro prophecy only aggro prophecy battle mage only meta. Right.
Bitcoin, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at that point I invest in Bitcoin. I mean, well, here's the thing. I don't enjoy playing against Prophecy Battle Mage. My problems with Bitcoin are more philosophical, but honestly, in this case, I don't know, man. I can't choose. Those both suck. We'll go with Bitcoin, I guess.
Yeah, I'd choose Bitcoin. I know it wasn't directed at me, but yeah. I am philosophically for Bitcoin because anarchy's the best. But
yeah, I'm for it too.
Realistically, sure.
But that
put your money in Bitcoin.
I mean, I'm for it just because I enjoy the idea of a currency that isn't bound to a nation. I enjoy like a global currency, but I now will forever, now until the end of time, if I ever build and play Prophecy Battle Mage, it will be named Bitcoin Battle Mage going forward, in honor of this moment. Like,
good looking out, bro. I will say, like,
Ponzi scheme waiting to happen.
Yeah. To clarify my thoughts on Bitcoin, I can't believe I'm talking about this again. I too am for a one world currency. Like, it's not that. Like, I'm all about that. I just am also for a one world government that goes along with that. And I want my currency backed up by something tangible, which I know American currency isn't either. But that's my thought on that.
Yeah, well,
I don't think something has value because you says it has value.
But that's the only the only way anything has value ever in life, other than food.
That's not necessarily true. Like, at some point things have actual utility, right? And then we can exchange them for other items, and I think that having a currency backed up by bonds sold to the public is a reasonable way to keep a government indebted to its people while also creating currency that can be used to simplify the bartering process.
I don't think that the hissed Illuminati scout lizard shadow people would let that happen, to be honest.
Right?
Yeah. I
We
mean,
need
like,
the New World Order to fall
Listen,
before that happens.
we all know that gold was the original like go-to currency because the aliens that landed here needed it for your spaceship repairs because they knew it was a superconductor and could fly away, Justin, right? But like, let's be honest.
I swear to God, dude. Like,
Listen, I got a former drug addicted brother who also suffers from paranoid schizophrenia. I can say the most ridiculous things that would probably give you PTSD from everyone you've ever spoken to, Justin.
as a guy who's been diagnosed with PTSD, who treats people with PTSD, let me tell you that I've heard some fucked up shit.
I've got it too.
Yeah, it's a hell of a thing, man.
Sucks.
Yeah.
I just have TSD, unfortunately.
Traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, it's just trauma all the time.
Yeah, I hear.
I hear.
Fucking trauma, dude.
There's no post. I haven't had the opportunity nor luxury of moving on.
Moving on to more questions is what I'm going to do. Immortal King 1982 writes, discounting however you feel about the specifics of Dragon Aspect, do you think that it is going to open up a move towards more character interaction as an offensive weapon is in this game, or do you think this might be more of a one-off type of interaction with no more incoming?
The former for me. I think that other games have done it, and I think that they probably stay away from that design space as much as possible.
Yeah.
Realistically, that Legends has enough variety and interesting places to push card design without going there.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
See, I think it's an interesting question because while they don't need to go there, Direwolf's other project, Eternal, does have like character weapons for like you and your avatar, right? So it is something that they've already explored in another format. So it is an interesting thought.
I mean, I have no issue with it.
Yeah. I don't think we'll see a lot of it. Glyph writes, don't be a deadbeat dad. That's good advice. Absolutely Terabad is making fun of me, saying I'm for the New World Order and wants barter to be the prime method of trade.
I do. Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
Is it, if you mean like barter the Legends card?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you get to exchange something at random from their hand for something you choose in your hand. I mean, like, you do it enough, you might end up on top, right? So, like, I'm going to offer my dryer lint, and in exchange, I get one random item from your house. It's a good system to operate.
I mean, I just want to give somebody all of my digital copies of barter for something.
You know, today I got a barter off of off of College of Winterhold. I was playing Support Mage, and I was playing against Scout, and he had just soul-teared back his Parthenax on his previous turn. He had one card in hand, Parthenax, and I gave him a Shrieking Harpy for it.
Yeah, some of the best stories come from barter, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a good trade.
Here's a question from me, actually. Would either of you like to see an in-game economy?
Absolutely not.
Person-to-person trading?
No.
No?
No, not for anything in-game. Like, the closest that I would be willing to support would be for cosmetics or things like that, but at this point it's, like, so late. We kind of talked about that a bit last week, and I speculate that that's exactly what Artifact is going to bring to the table, right? Valve's game, because it's going to be on the Steam platform that already has the Steam marketplace, so at a minimum you'll be able to trade cosmetics and skins and so forth, if not the cards themselves. But like in Legends, like, it's a collectible card game, it's not a trading card game, and we already have Twitch drops and we already have a pretty friendly free-to-play system. The minute you offer like the ability to trade, right? It gets like the barrier to entry just goes that much lower, because you can get the guys like CVH or even me, and I don't play nearly as much as CVH does, but like even somebody like me where instead of just like dusting all my stuff, I can start like shoving it out, and then that's just less people that have to open packs, and like it would drastically change the way the game functioned. Like cosmetics I could maybe get behind because it's not game affecting, but even then I think that would be an awful lot of effort for very little payoff to Bethesda and Direwolf, you know?
Yeah, sure. I hear you there. Like the only time that I have wanted to have something like that is when, say, a friend wants to try a deck or something like that, or
That's true. That's true.
you know, if I
Yeah.
wanted to use an alternate account for something.
So
But I can see why they don't and think it's healthy.
yeah.
I'm gonna give you a little hint too about how Bethesda does their community management for this game. If you ask for free shit, they'll just give it to you. So like, if you really need to if you need a 60-pack thing for whatever purpose that you need it for, you can get it.
Yeah,
As a content creator, I'm just telling you this is how it is.
well, I've done a bit of asking in the past, but
Oh,
it would appear that I have gained G-Staff's attention, and we're communicating now. So that's
good.
nice.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the guy to reach out to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I will say that in terms of things like that, one of the things I did ask for in the past, and Justin is correct, like, Bethesda's great at helping out with the community management, but I've asked for several occasions where I really wish that I could just, like, buy items with the ability to gift, right? Because sometimes, like, it would be nice to just do a giveaway, and it's not that Bethesda isn't helpful. Like, if I say, hey, I want to do a giveaway or something, and I give them, like, notice, that's one thing. But, like, it would be really nice if I just, like, randomly one night, like, if I get a viewer and they're like, hey, it's my birthday, it would be great if I could just be like, hey, like, happy birthday, right? You know, here's a wing of Clockwork City or something. Like, I think that, like, being able to gift, as long as it's something already purchasable in the store, right? Like, give somebody a couple of packs, give somebody whatever, like, but through that method, I would really like that.
Yeah, and like I think some people might have more success doing it than others, because I had been trying to do it for quite some time with no reply.
My bad, man. I didn't know that.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm not going to get into a Bethesda bashing session because I do love them. I've got a Fallout tattoo on my arm because even though they didn't create it per se, like I've loved Bethesda products my entire life, and they've undoubtedly improved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am glad to have gotten their attention, and I will have some stuff to give away this week on my stream, by the way.
Yeah,
there you go.
I was gonna say the quick, short, easy political answer is we can't all be Justin Larson.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess my experience is a little different than some people. No, hold on, though. Hold on. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because it's definitely something I don't think about, and off like the kind of. It's a bit of a stretch, but kind of another side of the coin is like if I play against someone a lot on ladder and they're always playing like, I don't know, Scout, for example.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus, wouldn't you get fucking bored? Like,
Right.
But not everyone has access to every deck there is,
That's true.
I did it by playing 15 hours a day since June or July or whenever I started.
Yeah.
And yeah, not everyone has that. I think it's a good thing to keep in mind.
That's true. I mean, that's how Charmer and I got our collections. Like the free to play model for this game is amazing, right? Like it's so generous.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I was gonna say in terms of like what I've put money into it for like expanding my collection. When I very first started playing, I bought one 60-pack bundle because I did it for a YouTube video as a like, this is what you can expect to get from a thing. Everything else I acquired like free to play, with the exception of like the story mode expansions and whatever. I bought that with money just as a way to support the devs. But like,
Same.
but then like I didn't buy packs again until I had everything I wanted, and then I just wanted to craft premiums. Like that was literally, but like the collection I just got from playing, and it's really easy to pick up.
Yeah.
We've got two more questions, and I think they're both great, but I suspect that both of them are actually going to take a bit of time. So let's end on these two. The first one is Zombie Hunter 9x19 says, "Did you guys read the recent Between the Lanes article about broken mechanics and thoughts on it?"
Yeah, Charmer gave me a heads up that it was out there, and so I read it after he did. So I'll let him talk about it first.
Before I go on my soapbox, I wanted to see what
I'll happily
what
start.
Ray's,
I'll happily start if you like.
because I'll be honest, like I'll go on a soapbox. So unless you're prepared for that,
I'm prepared. Like you can go first, or I will, or Justin.
All right,
I don't mind. I disagree with it.
I have some quick comments. Like, I've just brief quick comments, right? So the only thing I wrote on Reddit about it was like that was really interesting, right? Because like I did think it was an interesting read, right?
Likewise.
I don't agree with most of it. Like for instance, like I think we identified on this show before that like Thorn Hissmage, for example, is the powerful card in the Scout Ramp archetype.
Yeah.
That is true.
Very good.
Right? That is true. And Unstoppable Rage is certainly one of the most powerful cards in the game. The exception that I have to the entire article is the like the co-opting of the word broken to mean something other than what we usually mean it to mean. And I know, Charmer, I stole your fucking thunder, because after you told me that and I was reading it, I'm like, I couldn't think about anything else.
Yeah, because it's so like tilting.
Yeah.
Like
the word broken being used.
Yeah. Well, no. So here's I have some complaints about like the body, but for me, like if I'm gonna start on like one thing that I think is the big complaint for me was that the author decides to use the word broken in the article and several times in the body of the article, but at the very beginning they provide this context where they say that they don't mean that broken means overpowered. They mean that it's like breaking some fundamental aspects of the game, right? So,
sure.
Like, I can understand that, but like then just pick a different word that's not broken, because broken in a gaming community has a very specific context, and you can't say like, hey, for the purpose of this, it's going to mean something else, right? Like, it's like saying, I'm going to write an article about, black and white, but for the purposes of this article, when I say the word black, I actually mean orange, right? Like, no, the word black fucking means black. Like, you can't, it has a very common vernacular in the gaming community, and it's going to confuse readers. And after reading the comments, my assumptions were correct. People were not understanding what the person was trying to say. And I just felt like the format, like, suffered as a result. And then if I follow it up, I also want to go and say, one, like breaking fundamental mechanics of the game isn't that big of a deal. There's plenty of other cards that do it, like the card that lets me use supports infinite times technically breaks fundamental mechanics of the game, right? Like, I'm not going to write an article on it. So, unless you are talking about power level, then like what are we talking about? Well,
just so we're all on the same page. I'm not playing devil's advocate here. I'm more just like,
no, that's good.
Maybe some people don't have our backgrounds in gaming. Yeah. What does broken mean to you? If you had to dictionary definition it.
Unbalanced to the point of warping the metagame.
Okay. And same for you, Chalmer?
Yeah, I mean, for me, people only use it in one of two ways, right? So I'm not even talking about my own personal use. I'm saying if somebody uses the word broken to me, they're saying that it is overpowered to the point of needing some sort of look at or adjustment. In fact, like in my opinion, like that's where the word comes from. Like there is something inherently wrong with it, to the point where it's not just that it's overtuned, it's like it's broken. Like it's almost functioning like a bug that needs to be addressed, right? Like it's not, like the game isn't supposed to work this way, thus the card is broken. Like that's usually the connotation that I have heard it used. And it's not even just this game, and I think that's why I'm so like frustrated by this like supposed shifting of the way you want to use the word, because like I've heard that, I've heard the term broken in MOBA games like League of Legends and things like that. I've heard the term broken in card games. I've heard the term broken in like tabletop strategy games.
Generally pejorative.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, usually it's in a complaining. Like nobody says like, this is, it's usually one of two ways. When they very first see something and they're excited, they'll say like, "Holy cow, that thing looks broken," and then there's the like after the fact like, "Oh my god, I'm so tired of playing against Skullclamp. Why was this card ever printed? It's broken." You know what I mean? Like. Those are the ways that I've heard the term, and those are the ways that I imagine most people have heard it. And so to kind of do this bait and switch is, I think, like doing a disservice.
Okay.
As far as the actual content of the article goes, like I know right now, I know we just sound like the world's biggest nerds, which is we are. But I mean, like to be fair, like the article itself, I mean, like it's interesting. I think the observations about 3 for 1-ing, 2 for 1-ing are interesting. He correctly identifies powerful cards. I don't see a lot of solutions. I don't know. It feels like a follow-up article is needed.
I agree. I think that like if we kind of sidestep that and ignore the I don't know, like vernacular that is chosen to kind of twist a little, in my opinion, and look at the 3 cards that Rockstar Cowboys mentioned: Unstoppable Rage, Solitaire, and Alfric's Housecarl. Like, I think I'm comfortable with saying that I disagree, but that Alfric's Housecarl, I think that it is something that could potentially be looked at.
Yeah, no, I thought
in the future. I think that'd be healthy. Yeah,
I was gonna say I thought that was perhaps the funniest part was that he mentions those 3 cards and then focuses very heavily on, well, I can't say cards because like really he kind of lumps ramp together as a whole, right? But like he focuses on like ramp and then Unstoppable Rage and Housecarl, but the body or the majority of the article is about the 2 that aren't Housecarl, and I think Housecarl is the worst offender. And I've long said that I think it just needs to at a minimum be a 3/3. Because it does too much too well, and the fact that it not only lets you draw cards but gives you a body that inherently survives Ice Storm with no additional buffs, I think is too much. So at least tuning it down to a 3/3 so that it also dies to Ice Storm is a step in the right direction, in my opinion. And I don't think it sees any less play as a 3/3. So
yeah, I think that it would still see play as a 3/2 even.
Yeah.
I agree.
To be honest, it's that good.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, like I don't want to be too hyperbolic there, but yeah, that's one that I could see being looked at. Even just like going back to what we were talking about before, with it getting the same treatment as what are they called, Dawnstar Healer and Relentless Raider, where the rune breaks and they have a chance to prophecy first. Whether that would make the card still playable? Yeah, let's be honest. It's still playable.
Yeah.
Because there's not too many things that punish you there. But yeah, as a whole, to answer the question, I disagree with the rest of the article, I believe.
I agree. I mean, I agree with you that I disagree.
Yeah.
Because like there's like he says like some of these cards are frustrating to play against. Sure, that I agree with. But that they break game mechanics or need to be.
Listen, I've been on record of saying, and I catch a lot of flack for this, but I stand by it. I think Unstoppable Rage is a balanced card, a well-designed card, and I want to see more cards like it. I think that it rewards you during the deck building phase. I think it rewards you for playing well with it, playing well against it. For all the talk that people, say that they want card games that are like skill-based, Unstoppable Rage is a card that it tests the skill of both players, and it doesn't have any randomness involved in it. And the only downside is that it really punishes you for misplaying, right? And yes, there are some times when it's played against you and there was nothing you could do, but like I've also lost games to a Quinroll burglar that somebody played where there was nothing I could do. Like sometimes in card games you just don't have the answer, or you just have to run into something with your face, right? Like it happens.
Yeah.
But you can play around rage. You can force people to use them suboptimally. You can take away their splash plays. Like it is a card that rewards skill, which is usually what everyone asks for. And so I would like to see more cards like Rage in that facet. I think that the card is fine. I also, catch a little bit of flack as well, but I think that with Rage specifically, that it's just like an emotional response, and it's kind of funny that it has Rage in the name, that like that triggers people to give it like the negative hate that it gets, and it's not so much it's not so much one that is like I guess I want to say there's a lot of confirmation bias with it, right? Because when you lose big and it's memorable, and then when you beat it,
very
like
big. Yeah.
You just like kind of feel drained because you had to play around it. And then even more so, sometimes you beat Rage because you played properly and you don't even know if your opponent had it because you just denied them good opportunities to use it, right? So like there are times where you beat Rage head on, but you might not have like mentally associated that with like, hey, I did really good job of like playing around Rage. Like sometimes you just beat Rage and like it doesn't even enter the conversation. But then like I don't know, like I'm a fully like okay with the card. I don't think that it warps things. I think it creates interesting gameplay. That's I catch flack for it, but I stand by it.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with you, and with specific focus on what you said, but also that the fact that it punishes not playing around it. I think that's a hallmark of a good card, to be honest. Yeah, it's like you didn't play around it, and you got wrecked. Like, so be it. And also that that I also like that the article exists and that people are talking about it instead of making sweeping anonymous statements about how much they hate it. I think that's a very good thing.
I want to say one more thing, and maybe this also goes hand in hand with it. Because I've went on this soapbox in the past on the podcast as well, but some people, when they talk about like I don't like to play around Rage, they'll say things like it forces me to play suboptimally, and like that's a source of anger for them. But the truth is like, one, if it's the proper play, then you're not playing suboptimally. Like that's an improper use of the term, right? Like if you do the thing that's correct in that situation, then you did not play suboptimally. What it did is it made you deviate from your game plan. And that's entirely fine, right? Like card games should be about adaptation and making those good micro decisions. And I don't want to play a game where I play the quote unquote optimal way every time, every game. Like in that case, I might as well play Gwent or Solitaire, where my opponent doesn't matter. Like people want...
I don't want to be goldfishing.
Right. Like people say they want interaction, but then when your opponent forces you to interact with things they might have, they suddenly complain, and like I don't understand that mindset, right? So
I kind of chuckle a bit at the idea of this kind of anonymous Redditor, that we're that you picture, this person, or whether it's like the Reddit community at large. I think the contrary voices are the loudest, and I think that's that's why it appears that way. It is that way. Like it happens a lot. Yeah.
We do need to take a second to appreciate just honestly like how positive the Legends Reddit is, like compared to almost every other gaming community on the internet.
Oh yeah, I've been in some bad ones.
Comparatively, hell yeah, it's great. Like I mean, if you have even a tangential connection to Magic the Gathering, like the community is a bin fire right now with what's going on.
Oh
like,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I've been following that. Like it's, it's just fucking incredibly disappointing. Actually, like I can't even get it through my mind that some of these people like, I mean, like here's how I look at it, right? Like I feel like in large part gamers come from more often than not sort of marginalized social settings growing up, right? I mean, I got into gaming through a different route I think than most do, but like my idea is
Probably.
that, like the guy who probably, I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but
Oh, of course.
but like the fact that this community isn't just like so welcoming and open and empathetic to everybody who wants to have a home, who's as an adult trying to choose their family, like, is just so disappointing. Like, I just don't get it at all. It's one of the reasons that like I pretty much exclusively like foster positivity and say positive things in my videos, on my channel, on the forum, because like I don't really care if we don't have the same opinion about something like that, or we're totally different people, because like we're here because we're part of the same tribe, right? Like, we are all people participating in this event together, and it is that shared experience that makes all of this worth it, right? Like, because nobody like sits around and plays solo arena all day. You know what I mean?
I think Pete Hines does.
And to be fair, I play a lot of solo arena. Way to shit on my totally awesome fucking.
No.
message,
I mean, listen. I say that mostly in jest because you know that I 100% agree with you.
No, I know.
I super try to stay positive as well.
Yeah,
Any complaints that I'll have, any complaints that I'll have at all about our Reddit are what I would consider like zero world problems, because our community is awesome. It's just. I guess I'll say about the magic thing just real quickly. I don't agree with it, and I'm certainly disappointed by it, but I can at least empathize and understand with some of the mindset, because if you do come from a marginalized like background, or like a social circle where you never really felt like you fit in, and then this is your home, and then somebody who is different from you comes along, I can see where some people would, even if they don't think it, they might be feelings that they can't articulate well. They might feel like, this person is trying to take something from me. This person's trying to like move in on my community, and they're different, and that makes me feel weird. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that I'm endorsing it by any means whatsoever, but like I can at least empathize and understand with those people.
I can to an extent, but I think if you're bullying, harassing people, then you can fuck off.
Well,
I agree.
I mean, I'm not saying there's a place for it, but again, if your social circle is like, the 5 guys you play Magic with in your basement like once every 2 weeks, and then just the people you argue with online, like, what do we expect them to do? Like, they're not going to get on and write like a well thought out dissertation. They're gonna articulate the only way they know how. And
for sure, it's going to happen. But yeah, I think it's good that we're holding these people accountable, or at least
I mean, you have to. You just have to call them on their shit. Like, I just have this view because I have a 4-year-old. Like, I'm used to him yelling things at me because he doesn't understand and can't articulate, and so all you can do is be as patient as you can and let him know that it's not okay, but also understand that they don't have a good way to get to express themselves.
Well, I think I feel pretty comfortable putting like Gamergate people in like the 4-year-old category.
Yeah. I will say, like, the evidence all suggests that. I mean, well, okay, I'll just say the evidence all says that exposure to diversity, whether that's in any kind, even if it's just diversity of opinion, increases a person's open-mindedness and willingness to treat other people as equals, right? So, like, if you fight this sort of bigotry and stuff like that, and make it so that it's clear that normal is accepting it, and you put it in their face, like, over time, like, mores change. I mean, like, that's just how it works.
Yeah, it does. And I think a lot of people are coming out and being supportive. Like, and if you don't know, it's a prominent cosplayer, woman, has been harassed and basically said that she's leaving the Magic community, and it's a lot of people are coming out being supportive, and also a lot of people are pointing to Wizards of the Coast, the people who own the IP and make everything, and saying like, hey, you need to set an example. You need to make sure that this kind of behavior is is not allowed. And if people do that and harass others, that they're not welcome. And I think that's a good thing, and something that I would like to see. I obviously can't speak as a woman, in a gaming scenario, but I certainly see a lot of misogynistic shit, and
Yeah.
and so on and so on, and I try to call it out, and I think it's a good thing that's becoming more, that's happening more often.
Totally agree. Just so, I mean, like, if anybody ever has any doubt about it, like, the Fun and Interactive podcast is a place welcoming of all people.
Yeah,
Even if, like, you're doing time for killing a podcast host, like, you're welcome to come join us.
I mean, unless it's one of us, in which case you can't join us because we're dead.
Shit, if it's Charmer, you might be able to be the new co-host. Depends how well you are. How well you do on camera.
Which I set
feel like
a low
that's
bar,
getting a little
so...
too interactive.
It's funny. I stole that line from myself. I was speaking at a prison last week, and this guy asks, he's like, "So can anybody come to your facility and participate in services, no matter what their conviction is?" And I know he's talking about sex crime stuff, because those guys just get... Prison's a really tough time for those dudes. Yep. And I was like, "Look, man, you could be in prison for burning down a nonprofit, and you're still welcome in our door." He's like, "Oh, that's cool, man."
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, I obviously don't have that same kind of thing. I knew magic before I went to jail, but yeah, it'd be a long conversation to kind of get into how we all feel about reintegration and the jail system, which...
Oh man, it's fucked.
The American one seems fucked, and Australia is privatized, and it's going down that way as well.
Yeah, the
American I think it's a bad thing.
Like, recidivism is a business, and they make sure to make money on it.
Yeah. It's horrible. Profiting off human misery.
It is. It's...
Have you seen the American healthcare system? Heyo.
Yeah.
It seems pretty messed up. I would be dead if I lived in America.
Ironically, people in prison have socialized healthcare.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you have free healthcare in prison. Well, their policy though is pretty specific. It's don't die while you're here.
Yeah, I guess that would be a lot of paperwork for them, wouldn't it?
They don't like paperwork.
Absolutely.
How did we get into this topic?
Dude, this happens every week.
Every week. Who knows? So the last one that we wanted to hit, which again has the potential to be long, we'll see. Kazoo Croc had asked, well, specifically said, "I'm a stats guy. Curious to hear what each of you do or use to compile your stats, if you don't mind." And that's if you compile them at all, I guess.
Yeah. Charmer gave me some forms to fill out that I did for a while, and now I just keep track on the backs of pieces of paper that are sitting on my desk, with a plan to eventually put them back into the forms that he created for me.
Yeah, just let me know when you start so that I can separate them by month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been unable to get Deck Tracker to work ever. Yeah. I seriously don't know how it works. If anyone really knows how to do that, please help me. I would like that. But I use either a pen and paper for a deck when it's still like if it's something that I've either made or changed an established deck enough that it's that I need to kind of change it a lot, then I'll use pen and paper. But if I'm tracking my stats with something established, then I'll use Excel. Just use an Excel spreadsheet, to be honest.
So for me, I'm going to put some stuff in chat here as well, because I did a YouTube video on it a while ago. Though the thing that I'm putting in chat is the old version. I run a Google Sheets thing that I track all of my wins and losses and decks and so forth that I play in, and then I archive them by month. So I have another folder where they're all archived by month. So I take like a 1 month snapshot. And then I also just recently last couple of months or so, started adding a spot where I basically have a section for like notes on the deck that I played against, because my original versions of the sheet was taking into account things like class and deck archetype, right? So like in the past, it would be like I played against an aggro crusader, but that didn't tell me, unfortunately, if it was like, you know, mono red, you know, token crusader or like charge crusader. So I added a section where I can like manually type something in. Now the pre-built like analytics thing that I have for that isn't set up yet in the Google Sheets. So I instead, when I do want to look at that info, I import it to, there's a free tool called Microsoft Power BI, and then I can do some data manipulation there. So I also have running for each of my streams, and I just put this in chat as well. I have a command where you can do bang stats and look at whatever my current month is for wins and losses. So
that's cool.
Because I archive things monthly, right? So like every month that will reset. But like at any time, if somebody wants to see like, hey, what have I been playing? What's been working for me? That's like a quick summary. And then that will also give you, you know, if you click on that, for example, gives me, you know, gives you a look on, you know, what I've been playing against, you know, what my win rate and win and loss rate is going first versus second. At any given time, you know, have I played against a lot of aggro, a lot of control, blah, blah, blah. So, like, it's just, the stuff I have there is meant for my quick at-a-glance thing so that I can say, you know, what have I been seeing a bunch this month? It's split across 3 different tabs, and so, like, the last tab is forum responses, and a lot of times I'll use that as, like, my look back at a night. So, like, I might say, like, hey, you know, did I play against, you know, a bunch of scouts tonight? Oh, I have been. Okay, maybe I should switch to aggro to, you know, start winning, or so on and so forth. So it's, this is just kind of like my quick tool, but this is also how I know, you know, for example, when I say things like I've always got a better win rate, usually going first versus second, it's because I can look at, you know, both the current month and then all of my previous months going back to, I started tracking mid-December of last year. And so I can like pool all of that data together when I want to.
Gotta love data. There's 2 things I'd add to that. I have a, what are they called? A thing, something I keep track of. That's also if I made a particular like misplay. Because so for example, the big interaction that I have been missing a lot lately is silencing my own shackled creatures to win. I've been missing that a lot, and cataloging it, like games that I've lost by not doing that, has been something that's kind of helped me remember it, as opposed to, because I like, as a function of various mental health things and just medication I've been on and am on, my memory is terrible. So it really helps me to do that. And the other thing I wanted to add was something I want to do is after I like either stream or even just play, which is generally for like 10-12 hours unless I'm having a bad day health wise. I was thinking that of like, because the meta snapshot's not a thing really anymore, to just like say like, you know, I played against 20 of this, 10 of that, 5 of this, and I don't know if that was a thing that other people were doing. I think it'd be kind of cool, just so that people kind of could see what was out there on a daily basis, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% can get behind that. I started this to combat confirmation bias, and then I think what a lot of people don't remember about me specifically is that I'm never, when you see me on stream, I am never playing at my 100% best. I am usually playing after 1 or 2 jobs. You know, I don't start, I get up at, you know, before 6 a.m. and I don't start streaming till like 11:30 my time. So by the time that you're watching me at like 1:30 or 2, if I make a play mistake, not only am I trying to watch chat, but like I'm just dead inside. The only time I ever play like quote unquote at my best is like the few times I've participated in tournaments, and that I usually do that off stream just because like I want to pay attention. But because of all those reasons, that was one of the reasons I started like doing the stat tracking, is I was like, you know, my memory is, is failing me and I'm playing when I'm tired. I should at least like have some record of this to pay attention. And for a short time, I also tried keeping track of like play mistakes, but then I realized it was legitimately every game, and I started dying inside, so I stopped. And then for a while, I was like, okay, well maybe I'll just keep track of like games that I lost to play mistakes, right? So like the idea in my head was like, how many games do I lose where I felt like there was nothing I could have done differently versus games where I had a play mistake? Because then that would tell me what my actual margin for improvement could be, right? Like if I win 70% of the time, but like I could get up to 80 hypothetically if I stopped fucking around, like that would, I felt like that would be good to know. But then again, one, it was like every other game, so that was like really hurtful and soul crushing. But then I also started thinking in my head, I was like, okay, you know, let's say I say like I win 70% and I think I can get to 80, and then I get to 80. Like, I don't want that to be like, okay, well, I'm done improving. So I personally scrapped that, and I'm like, all right, my goal is to just get better every game, and as long as I keep trying to do that, then I think I'm all right.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd say the same, except mine is more just, I haven't actually been kind of, I've only been streaming for a couple of months, to be honest. Like, when I started this game, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, like, you know, because I can't work. This is what I want to do as like my thing, you know. And maybe one day money will come. But regardless, I want to build something cool because my life expectancy is like 40, and I'm 31, and I want to have cool shit, you know. And I just play worse on stream because I'm not used to doing the two at the same time yet, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how
and
much
other
you
reasons
ever get
as well,
used
of
to it,
course.
though. Like, I've been recording myself while playing for a year and a half now almost, and I still play so much better without the audience, whether they're just the camera or the stream itself. Like, it's unreal. Just like so significantly better. Like, I mean, like, I'm not like a great player. I'm pretty competent just because I've played hundreds of hours of this game. But like, when for instance, the very first Epic Gauntlet, like I got like 20th place or something like that, and I didn't play a single game while recording. And then I recorded the second one, and I think I was like 500th. Like, and there's a huge connection there for me.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot harder. It's a lot harder. But I feel like I'm getting better. But I have no issue with making mistakes on stream. It's like, that was a mistake. I should have done this. I like, you know, often like to talk about it with chat.
Right.
That's like my ideal composition of chat personalities is people who are down with that. I'm far more interested in the why and how of things than the correct play.
Oh, I totally agree, man. Like,
you know?
the content creators that I watch are people who are interesting people, who have interesting thoughts that they want to share, or doing something interesting in the game. Like, I couldn't give less of a shit about, you know, Spikes playing tier 1 decks.
Well, I definitely could. that's definitely like one of the things I'm about, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I guess like the best way to elaborate on it would be like when I do coaching with people, I generally try and cultivate a space where we're both asking questions.
That's fair.
The more questions we're asking, the more we're talking about it, the more we're, you know, breaking things down and trying to understand why things happen, not just like this is correct and developing, you know, rules of thumb or heuristics as opposed to, you know, developing critical thinking skills.
That makes sense. I think this has been a good one, man. I really appreciate your insights into this game. And like I said, we've been talking for like over a month now about having you on as a guest. So I'm really glad that you were able to stop by.
Oh, me too. And assuming that, and I'm feeling good about it, assuming that I still have an internet connection and whatnot, I would love to come back.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and I think everybody, like, if you're not familiar with Rei Barker, he's a newer streamer in the community. You should definitely check him out on Twitch. Are you on YouTube?
Yeah, but I don't really put much stuff there. Twitch is the place to find me.
Good. YouTube's my turf. Stay off.
I do. It is something I want to do, but
Yeah.
because of various reasons, I would rather just do one thing as best I can for the time being. You know.
Yeah, I totally understand. So check him out on Twitch. Check him out on Twitter to hear what he has to say about stuff. You can. I don't know if you can type links in chat. I can type links in chat. I'm a mod. Hold on.
I'm not a mod.
Hi, Ahmad.
That's
I'm
right.
Dad.
You can just click if you really want. You can just click on my name in chat. Though I put a love heart out there because I do. You know, I love you both and love you all. I love this game and I like putting love out there.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, we get that vibe from you, which is cool. You know, there's a lot of people we're never gonna ask to be guests.
That's not true.
Sure as shit is, dude. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
There's like 6.9 billion people we're not gonna ask. So I guess you're right, but that's not true.
One day.
Well, either way, I'm glad I made the cut, and I feel the love and definitely reciprocate it. It means a lot to me.
No, it means a lot to us, man. You're a good dude. Yeah, I'm gonna link his Twitter in chat, and I had to figure out how to do that. Yeah, so like one of the great, hilarious things, I guess, depending on how you look at it, about me being a content creator for any game is that I didn't own a computer until about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm
well into my 30s.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love being your IT guy.
It's cool having that. Yeah, it's there's not many people with a story like that, you know.
Actually, the unfortunate truth is that in America there are too many people with a story like that.
It depends how you look at it. But that's a subject for another night. You know, maybe we could do a more serious discussion about that sort of thing at some point. I mean, who knows? But I know that you and I have talked a little bit about that, Ray, and that's something I still want to get down with. But I'm super
down for all of that. I am super not busy, so.
I understand completely, man. I understand.
Yeah.
All right. So, Charmer, parting thoughts?
I can't wait to play more games on the ladder after this.
Oh, you really gonna stream tonight?
Yeah, dude. It's only like 1:30 a.m. I got at least 3 more hours before my insomnia wears off.
You are insane.
I'll be streaming in like 4 hours too.
Sweet.
If anyone's down with that?
Well, I'm sure Charmer's gonna be awake then, so he can host you when he's done.
Yeah, I always look for him, but I think that I get off, like, legitimately, I feel like I get off like an hour before he gets on. Or you could also say I just get off all of the time. Heyo.
That's because you use High Rock Mail Enhancement.
That's right.
I have been looking to start a little earlier. I won't be today just because of reasons, but
Sure, man.
But yeah, I'm trying to find my spot, carve my niche, you know.
Sweet. All right. Yeah. Good work, team.
Well, yeah. Much love to everybody. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in Clockwork City.
Yeah, but the next podcast, it'll be out. It'll be live.
Damn, dude, you're right. That means we're gonna have a busy week, doesn't it?
We're gonna have. That's what I'm saying. We're gonna have such a busy week.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, we love you guys. Cool. We're out.
Peace.
Later.